All right, we're live now. I got to get the video. Been a minute. Sorry, buddy.
Totally understand, man.
All right, welcome everybody into an edition of the Wagner Wire. Don't adjust your cameras or radio dials or broadcast channels, whatever you're doing to listen to us or view us. It is Smash and Wags. Yeah, it's a Sunday. What the hell's going on TSU on Sunday? The Wagner Wire is back, man. What's up, brother? How you doing, man? Good to see you.
Good to see you too, man. Finally, I feel like the Ultimate Warrior here is like the universes have aligned. Finally, the spirits have finally come together.
The spirits have kind of been all around. It's kind of been chaotic this season, right? Of course, There's been some shortcomings with myself. Like I've had a few weekends to where I've just been absolutely feeling like dog shit, or just crazy tired. Finally, news with us. The master bathroom is finished.
Fixed? It's about time, man. Congratulations, dude. Oh my gosh.
We will have pictures later throughout the week to show you guys the restoration. That's what we're calling it. Not even a remodel. It's a restoration because we saved the house.
But dude, I was like, that was something you guys, that's been a storyline through like 3 different networks, right? I think this started back at the beginning, right?
So this started as this was a DIY, right?
Like just a little hole in the wall, right, where the restroom is, like in the shower.
That's what happened. I was washing my feet, like scrubbing my feet, and my elbow.
The OnlyFans, totally understand.
Totally, yeah. I mean, the special OnlyFans camera was on there. We hit the switch, but you had to pay an extra, 99 cents for it.
Hey, what's up, Mike?
Big spenders, right? VIPs, baby, VIPs. But no, I had my elbow on the tile, and I was scrubbing my feet, and all of a sudden, my elbow made an indentation into the into the wall, and I'm like, what the f? So I pushed the tile a little bit more, and the tile falls, and I'm like, no way. And then I pull on the other tile, and the rest, and mind you, the shower's still going. I'm naked.
Yeah.
The shower's still going. And the tiles start to fall. I'm like, oh my God. You know what I mean? And then I push more, and the wall smash. The wall behind was never the
that's right.
Never built the house to where it was fortified and structured for water work. And we thankfully, by the grace of God, thankfully there was no mold. When we
That's
pulled
the most surprising thing.
Very so, and well, I mean, it was on the outside of the wall too, right? So hopefully everything might have escaped away. But yeah, we were shocked because when I say restoration, I was just like, my first thought is, how much mold is back there because of all the wet wood damage and stuff. None. Thankfully. So my thought is that the tile or the giveaway, the breakaway in the tile had to have been very new, because the water was damp. It wasn't saturated. There wasn't anything turned on no, it was treated wood. It was treated wood that was.
Yeah, but it's not like there was like a puddle on the other side.
Right. Yeah. There was
water buildup.
Yeah. And there was no water that leaked down into the kitchen right below us either. Now,
that's right.
We did see a little bit of color distortion on the ceiling, but that was because I left the shower door wide open one time. And let the water come out. So I don't know. Well, yeah, the shower's finally done, thankfully. But yeah, man, you want to talk about chaotic times in my house with the damn master bathroom? Not as nowhere near chaotic as it was on the scene with college football yesterday, my dude.
Oh my God, dude! I was like,
we had a big sports day yesterday, man. We had college football all over the scene, and then we were treated with a little old nightcap if you're into racing too, because we had the Vegas Grand Prix.
Which I fell asleep during because I was waiting for it to come on.
Well, we
I
all knew the
figured Rodney
results.
was going to just cover it for me, anyways.
Well, Rodney will talk about it tomorrow, man. But we all knew the results. That was going to. We didn't know who would win the race. We thought we knew who would win the race, but regardless of the
No,
outcome of the race, we knew that there would probably be. We could call a season victor at the end of this race, and there is. Like Verstappen wins the season. Consecutive seasons now for Verstappen, dude. And what like we talk about how dominant Team Red Bull is all the time, but Team Red Ferrari was starting to make a push, starting to make a running for this, but it was already the writing was on the wall for Red Bull and Verstappen. He was going to get away with this thing after this race. So
I think that's why.
some
Like,
words from Leclerc too. Like he's got some unkind words for Team Red and Team Ferrari. So I wish we had sound. We'll probably hear sound from that on Monday from Rodney. I'm sure he'll want to address that. Probably something to do with Lewis Hamilton coming over to Team Red. So lots going.
Man.
It's dicey in F1, man. And also, like, apparently the drivers didn't like all the marijuana smell in Vegas.
Oh yeah, they were pretty
Shocker,
off-put
man.
by a whole lot of stuff.
That's all you're gonna smell in Vegas these days, buddy.
I mean, but this is what the event's about. It's all about the money. That's what F1 does. But it's just kind of like, I have to admit,
does Monaco not allow weed? Can you not smoke weed in France or any of the other countries where the big races are?
I've never really like checked to see because I'm like, I'm never going to get a chance to go to Monaco, at least at this rate, But I would imagine with the amount of money, I'm sure there are rules in place, but I'm pretty sure people pay people off, to kind of look the other way because they can afford that.
Buddy.
But I mean, the thing with me about this past season though is just that it's like Red Bull has invested so much money like around the world. Like they also ended up buying like Paris FC, and they might make the first division next year. So I mean, like Red Bull already has all these soccer teams, and now they really go and they do like the whole extreme sports stuff.
Oh, sure, yeah. I mean, I would say that they're the pioneers of that, right?
Yeah, I mean, them and ESPN.
Every big crazy jump or stunt jump, you see Red Bull pinned all over it and branded all over it as their event, right?
Exactly. Now it's like Red Bull dominate. Like, the X Games are still a thing, but it's like I haven't followed that as much as I would see just regular Red Bull like extreme.
It's the Red Bull Games. It's not even the X Games anymore. It's the Red Bull Games.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's crazy. I was like, I never thought I'd see the day, but I was like, I have to give ESPN their credit. I mean, they really had put that stuff on the map too. But it's just like Red Bull has put so much money into everything. It kind of bored the season this year for me for F1, where I'm just like, why am I even tuning in? We already know who's going to win. And it was like, if I'm at the bar, it was great to see that light. But, I called it an early night because I was like, oh, I want to catch this when I get home. I don't want to get cut off like right in the middle of the race.
Nice. Well, this is what? WTF? Solitude. WTF to you too. Wrong team favored? Is that what you're saying?
Wrong team favored? Oh, I can tell you about wrong team favors last night.
Yeah.
Brought a smile to my face. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. We got a lot.
It warmed my heart.
Craziness, and chaos in the college football landscape. Welcome in, everybody. We haven't given you your proper dues in your daily dose of the welcoming in and festivities here for today. It's Smash and it's Wags. It's not the fake Wags on Twitter, and it's the Smash Simmons all over the universe on socials. He did it right. I did not. He brands fantastically. My brand, I make you search for it. You know what? I'm a pirate. I like you dig. I like to have you dig for that treasure. So it's not the fake Wags on Brand X/Twitter, and then I'm the Wagner Wire on InstaFace, and we got a Wagner Wire channel on Facebook too. So, but I don't really post too much stuff on Facebook.
You heard about that dude nuts. That like
I kind of stay out of Facebook. It's a little loony, buddy.
Oh man, I never look at it. You have to
have it to have anymore.
You have to have it to have Instagram. That's why.
Like Instagram, at least I kind of can tell what real pictures and what real illustrations are. With Facebook, half the stuff that I'm seeing now, like these, I like the castle in Germany, and now I'm starting to get pictures of castles just popping up on my feed,
Oh,
and
yeah.
half of them, if you use Google Lens, you can tell that half of them aren't even real. Like
Oh,
they're
yeah,
just
dude.
AI generated castles in a forest somewhere. Or hell, one even put an aquatic castle in a almost submerged underwater, but it's like halfway. It's a cool looking picture, but it's AI generated,
Yeah, but
right?
that's
And
just it, man. That used to be like a skill, you know? It's like, oh, how well can you Photoshop? And
so
now
I
more than less.
it's funny you bring that up, dude. I love AI, but as an artist and as like a voice artist, I got some concerns, and actors
As
shared the
some,
same.
I got tons,
Yeah,
tons of
exactly.
concerns because I mean, all this is like
I say
not
some, but it's a
regulated.
lot of reservations, right?
Yeah,
Like
man.
our craft can be copyrighted very easily,
It's just like
right?
that
Like,
episode of The Simpsons where they have like the playback DJ 3000 or whatever, and it's just like this big computer that can shout out, you know, witty lines and tell you about the weather, and then tells you what coming up's next, and that's exactly what happened to radio. I mean, The
dude,
Simpsons have pretty
are
much.
the Simpsons this? Is Matt Goring just this smart, or is he just basically guessing everything? And
You
it's
don't
just
think he's like a time traveler? You know, that was
I
sent back through time, like
he's kind
Scott
of proven to
Bakula.
himself that he is. He's kind of proven himself that he can just manipulate this time that we feel like we're very linear on here, that we all have to kind of stay in chronological order with.
Man,
But
well, like
he's
how,
cheating the system somehow because he knows
dude? Seriously,
all the things that are going to happen.
I mean, like The Simpsons been like about 99% right on their future predictions.
Are you would it be, are you more shocked that the Simpsons are right, or are you more shocked that I've seen maybe less than 10% of their volume of their
not that
catalog?
surprised. I think like at this point, it's just like a sense of pride, right? It's like I went through my life
No,
this
I
long
mean,
without
because
having to see it, so
honestly,
it's like why
time.
now?
It's time. Like I have so many other things to watch that I and it's also the time that's built up with the Simpsons too. It's the longest running show, right? So how can I go back from day one and catch up? Like that seems like
Uh,
a very daunting
I
and
mean the best part
failing
is
challenge.
but the big thing is like you don't have to like catch the later seasons as long as you view like seasons 3 through 12, and 12 is even at a stretch. You can probably get away with 3 through 10. You basically have absorbed like the main message of the Simpsons at that point, and like all the key stuff, everything that people still quote comes from that time period. Like I couldn't tell you anything that happened like from 2020 Simpsons or 2021. Now I did watch like some of the last ones with my friend here recently because they had just returned from
But
Japan,
why are
and
those
like,
years so compelling to you? Was it those? Was it that those were coming of age years for you, or
well, there's no internet at
I
that
guess my
time,
question
right?
that I'm trying to articulate. Let me say it better.
Options were limited.
Are those years more compelling to you, or do they resonate with you more than they would resonate someone else because of their reflection in time at that moment?
No, I mean
Okay,
there's tons
so
of
you
Simpsons.
you think it's pretty universal?
There's so many Simpsons fans that they built Simpsons rides at Universal Studios. They made a movie out of this. There's people that can quote, if I go banana, there's somebody that watched The Simpsons that can instantly say that was Ralph Wiggum who was on the
Now,
back of
see,
the
I don't
bus
know
in
that.
that episode.
I
But
have no idea what you're talking about,
well,
and I'm not trying. I'm
I
not
know.
being cute here with it. I'm not trying to be tongue in cheek. Like I'm that ignorant with The Simpsons.
Oh no, it's
I know
totally.
I know
Well, dude,
like I know that,
yeah,
but
but I see it's so universal that you even without trying to actively follow it know about that. And it's like, see, Ike saying right there, he had a whole Simpsons folder in like the seventh grade. It was like one of those things for me where it was like, oh, we didn't even get the Simpsons until way later on. Like I had uncles that lived in Dallas that would send me VHS tapes through the mail so I could watch this because I was
that's so
so
wild.
entranced.
Try
Yeah.
explaining that to my kid these
Yeah,
days.
dude, like they won't understand. It's like, oh man, no, I had to get this like bootleg,
What's a VHS?
that too,
Tape?
long form, so they could fit multiple episodes on it.
Long form.
Yeah, there was like what the 60 minute, there was like the 90 minute. I think there was one that went 120, like, but that was much later. But I mean, man, I always just thought it was funny and well written and quite witty. It's not so much relying on like the cutaway humor like a Family Guy does, which is also a long run
Has it
series.
been the same run of voice actors the entire time that have been voicing the characters?
Yeah. Actually, the one that voices Millhouse has just announced that they're retiring. So I'm not sure what they're going to do with Millhouse. Like, are they going to just like have the character move away, like they've done with other character actors that have either passed away You know, like Miss Krabappel, the teacher, she died in real life, so they actually aged The Simpsons up a year. It's kind of surreal seeing it now, like, and it's not so zany. It's not so like, it's not like the early years. It's definitely much more realistic now in some of their storylines and themes. It kind of feels like it's trying to be preachy to me, kind of like a South Park, but it's not
Oh, now see,
as on.
I haven't seen many episodes of South Park either, but I love South Park. You know,
I mean, it's still going too.
Every episode that I've seen, like I crack up to. So
I mean, it's still rather well done. It's just one of those things that's like, I guess if you just didn't catch it at the point in time when it was like red hot, then why would you have interest? It's like pro wrestling, like, you know,
right. No,
if you didn't see it when it was like booming, then like it's really hard to recall love
I don't know,
for
because
it.
I was in and out with pro wrestling too, right?
But that's
Like,
everybody.
I mean, I get that, like, because there's lore, there's tons of lore in wrestling.
Yeah, it's like the longest running soap opera you can think of because it's like
Right.
the one that links back through history, and
Right.
like it hasn't ended.
Goes to territories and it's still carrying out.
Yeah, it's like Randy Orton's grandpa, Randy
Right.
Orton's dad, Randy Orton now, and if there's a kid, you know, the next iteration of what could be, and it's like that lineage just carries
Yeah, I
through.
was gonna say the lineage wars, the lineage battles just continue to fight. It's almost like it's almost like that territory hadn't gone away, bro.
Yeah, it's like, oh dear God, his grandfather and his grandfather had beef back in 1955.
For the family,
Yeah.
for the family.
And they've been feuding ever since. And it's just like, yeah. I mean, so it's kind of like The Simpsons, you know? There's a lot of stuff that's quotable. There's a lot of memorable shows.
I gotta-
but if
I
you
gotta
didn't
catch
see it, you know, it's not the nostalgia thing.
Absolutely got to catch
But
up
hey,
on.
it's
I'm
all-
doing myself a disservice by not seeing The Simpsons.
I mean, well, you can ask the chat. You can ask the people out there if you are now at this point. I understand there's a lot of good TV out there. And I think you also have to have a penchant
there's
for
no
like
excuse.
animated shows.
There's literally no excuse. I have platforms where I could see The Simpsons at my disposal instantaneously, and yet I still choose every night to watch 4 episodes of The Office.
Okay, so you have your show. Like, I couldn't tell you anything really about The Office because it would just never really interest me. So I never really caught back up with it.
The Office is a show about life, amigo.
That's what they say, man. That's what they say.
fantastic.
I mean, I like It's
About
Always Sunny in
relationships,
Philadelphia. I like Schitt's Creek, but I just never really.
Yeah,
got
I mean
started.
so there are so many shows out there, so many great shows out there that you
Well-
just kind of got to be compelled or just I guess captivated.
Did you watch Friends?
I did not.
I didn't either. But
Every
it was
one
like
of my
the
Marines, every one of my Marines watched Friends in Iraq too, by the way, and I had a chance to watch every episode there, and I didn't.
You're like, I had nothing else going on. I was like, you know, just going out on missions and being stationed in this one place.
No,
And it's like
I read Noah. Is it Noah Brown?
I have no clue.
I read The Notebook.
You read The Notebook. Okay, this is
Noah
why you're
Emmerich?
married. See, take
I
notes,
read
my
The
guys.
Notebook. In Iraq. Can you imagine that? My second time in Iraq.
Dude, come on, man. Wait, whoa. Too sexy, too sexy. I was like, are you making sure that you're not writing your own novel right now? It's like, I read The Notebook while on the front line in Iraq.
No, I mean, it was...
While the
and
desert
I gotta
sun
say,
glistened
it was
across
weird,
my
like,
skin.
So it was
like-
so funny. Like, as soon as I read The Notebook,
Instant
before
game?
that, I was making fun of somebody for reading Twilight, right? And then all of
Oh,
a
don't
sudden,
for Twilight. There's another one of those things.
we had people just send us books, right? Because we knew that would occupy time. So out of boredom, I picked up, The Notebook just because it was very thick. I just got done reading Mario Puzo's The Family, so I was just like, all right, let me find something else. The Family was pretty heavy. I mean, it's the story about the Godfather.
Yeah, I was
So,
going to say, well, that's where they took the whole inspiration from. So totally understandable.
Right. So then I decided to go a little lighter and went with The Notebook, and was on The Notebook for a while. It's an enjoyable read, but again, the movie was a lot more pleasant. You know what I mean? Being able to see Rachel McAdams. Actually, that was kind of like she was doing that movie the same time that she was doing Mean Girls, which is crazy.
Dude,
Because
yes.
she looks like she's 10 years older in The Notebook than she is in Mean Girls, which, I mean, clearly, because she's supposed to be playing a teenage high school girl.
And you talk about AI, I'm thinking about like the actors, like when they actually appear now, since they can just digitize everything to where it's like that person can look like they were back when they were 21. And it's like, whoa,
it's weird. It's a little, I mean, it's getting it's done a lot better now. When it first was rolled out and pioneered 3 or 4 years ago, like you could see like, oh, that's like Jeff Bridges. Example, Jeff Bridges in Tron Legacy, right? Like didn't. It looked like Jeff Bridges, but it also looked like somebody else too.
It's like
Right?
Jeff Bridges wearing a Jeff Bridges mask from like
Yeah,
20
like it
years
wasn't.
prior.
But now they make him look pretty damn good.
Well,
And yeah,
there's
which
that
brings
whole
me to the
movie coming out with
conversation. Like,
Tom Hanks,
what's
right?
that?
Where isn't there that new movie coming out with Tom Hanks? Like it's just
Yeah,
shot in one room, but like they
I'm
age
pretty
him.
sure that's AI. That's mostly AI generated with him
Yeah,
going back and being young. Like
exactly.
clearly, like
That's
I don't.
exactly what it
That's not
is.
makeup.
No, exactly, and that's where I'm just like, man, it's just like like that's what I wanted to say before we moved on, was just like, oh, I always thought that AI was not going to be a bad idea. I always just thought it was going to do like the mundane things that we didn't want to do so we could have time to create more art or the work on like the next big musical hit or write the next book. Like it was supposed to free us as a society from
Right,
the
but not. But now it's taking away jobs.
yeah, man. And it's just like, oh, I didn't think about it that way, but it's just kind of like everybody. But I don't know about you. Am I too far? Am I stretching too far now where I'm concerned about like the T-1000s and like Skynet and
No,
everything
I don't
just being
think. I mean, I think that
like that's totally a reality, right?
I don't
mean,
know if that's
obviously,
going to happen in our lifetime, but I mean,
like there's going to be like the
I
Great
believe
Robot
you.
Wars of 2480
Right,
or
like I
something like
believe in
that.
that. I believe in that stuff.
I
Like,
mean, like how can there not? Like we clearly have seen that society is
we
more than
joke
happy.
around about it and say, "Hey, if you guys are listening, we're on your side," right? Like, we love
Yeah,
you guys. You
exactly.
know what I mean?
But it's
Like,
just like, oh, somebody's listening, right? Somebody way more important than anybody else in the chat stream or with us. I'm just kidding, guys. You guys are
quick,
important.
like, we got 2 hours to break this down until kickoffs come out. But yeah, like, I just wanted to get this out there too because I didn't really think about this being a voice artist and being someone that really appreciates voiceover work and voiceover characters, right? Like Hank Azaria. You know, like Hank Azaria is known for his voice and being able to do voice hundreds of characters. He's on The Simpsons. He's on The Simpsons.
Yeah,
And,
he's the
and
guy.
I've never even paid homage to actors or artists like that have made careers off of their voice talents, off of animation. And
Yeah, not everybody gets like 35 years.
What's
and Billy, not everybody gets like 35 years in the business as an actor, period, let alone just for your voice.
No kidding, right?
And
like,
then you have to think about like Billy West, the guy who's like from Futurama, and he does like so many different things. Like you wouldn't even guess. Like I think he was like on Avatar, and then he was also like in what's that big show that the kids like, the one where they have the different spirits of water and earth and wind. I should know this. You know what I'm talking about, though.
Yeah, I can't think of the damn name.
I thought it was called Avatar, also, not like the movie, isn't it? Avatar?
It's Avatar, Water of the.
Yeah, like he's in that too. He's like one of those characters. You got to think about Kevin Conroy, who rest in peace. Like
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, which brings this whole conversation is going to come full circle. I swear to God. Which Kevin Conroy, right? Like Mark Hamill. People always say who's the best Batman, who's the best Joker.
Yeah.
People don't realize that Mark Hamill has been voicing Joker for over 2 decades, and he is. If you have listened to Mark Hamill's Joker or watched Batman the animated series or played any of the Warner Brother Batman games, you hear Conroy and Mark Hamill, the dialogue just going back and forth, and they are fantastic.
Yeah, that's what makes it so good.
It's. I mean, Batsy, Hamill's voice, Hamill's lines, his accents that he can do, very multi-talented. Everybody's known that for years.
I mean,
right?
that's why he had to retire from it.
That he's the Joker. People don't understand that.
I mean, everybody just thinks about Star Wars, but yeah, I
right.
mean, he's just way more talented than. It's kind of hard to.
You've seen Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, though, right?
Yeah.
When he does cock knocker,
yeah,
the Joker voice.
That's exactly what it is. I think that's where the inspiration.
Bust your balls, cock knocker.
That's exactly what it is.
That is the Joker, man. That's him doing the Joker voice.
See, but you're better at the voices too. Also,
I love voiceover.
Yeah, you're really good at it.
Well, I mean, it's something that I've kind of done since I was a kid. Like I've tried to mimic voices, and that's how you get into it, right? You get into it by mimicking other voices first, and then you start creating your own characters and building your own characters.
I
Like
thought you were gonna say you were a fan of Police Academy and what's his name? Kellen Winslow?
Kellen
Something.
Winslow. That's not his name's not Kellen Winslow, but I know who you're talking about though. Yeah, the guy that does all the crazy voices. Anyhow, this all goes back to Max Verstappen.
This goes all back to Max Verstappen. How?
Yes. Do you know why?
I'm curious why.
He was credited with being such a good driver. Fourth championship in his young career. He was credited with being such a great and talented driver because of his pedigree in gaming, playing video games.
Oh, I believe that. Totally.
They are now saying that a big portion of his success comes from his reaction times and his ability to process video games.
Yeah. I mean, these guys have like rigs at home.
Let's 20. That sounds like the biggest bunch of bullshit in my life, bro.
Well, I mean, it's completely different though. Like the stuff that he was playing as opposed to what you and I grew up playing, especially at home. I mean, and not to mention that he had like money growing up too, as most of these guys do.
This guy had like a VR Sims and shit like that.
Yeah, right? Man. So I'm saying like, this guy had a go-kart plus like the whole big rig unit with the multi-screens. And it's like, man, if you're just, training your fast twitch muscles and your reaction time and you have some of it that just happens to be just God-given and go ahead and train that, I mean, you're going to be elite. And that's exactly what happened.
He's got more simulated reps than other people would have, right? But I don't know how... Yeah. I don't know how realistic you can simulate a course.
We have seen this already, though.
I guess the G-force that it creates on the track, right?
That's the only thing. Because I was going to say, other than that, we've already seen where they've taken a video game racer and actually plopped them into like a low-grade F1 style race and was successful. Dude, they didn't win.
You need to come over. You need to play F1 24 on this VR headset.
Oh, dude, I'm dying to try that out, man, because it looks awesome.
It's you want to talk about reality, like nipples are hard just talking about it.
Like, I can see that, but like your face just changed completely. You're like, oh, you want the need for speed. It's in this game.
It's crazy, man. But yeah, so I mean that's the conversation, right? So this it took us 30 minutes to get to this. But yeah, fourth championship captured by Max Verstappen. Again, he didn't win the Vegas Grand Prix last night, but again, finishing in point standings alone, he was able to capture this season. Second consecutive. I think this is now the fourth or fifth driver. I don't have this stat down verbatim, so please don't quote me on this. Look this up yourself. Just reference and cross-reference it if you need to. But I think this is either the fourth or fifth championship that was collected in the States, or maybe the third.
Oh,
gotta give you all the numbers. Now you got to check. So,
do your own research. It doesn't hurt.
Yeah, badass shit. Yeah. Again, and the only reason why Max Verstappen is good at racing is because of video games. So let your kids play video games, guys.
I mean, your kids can get scholarships on video games now to go to college if they're good at COD or League of Legends or something crazy like that.
But that's it too, though, right? Like so this big discussion on AI has kind of dominated the channel today, right?
Rightfully so, though.
But like AI can also take away jobs in gaming too, right? Or not? It's not just voiceover art; it's artists in general. Like
because all the storage is there.
And graphic artists.
I mean, you kind of
already go on Google, like we were just talking about. Go on Google or type up an AI generated picture, or go to an AI generator website and be like,
Microsoft has one for free.
Type in these characteristics and see what picture it gives you.
And it comes pretty dang close now, which is scary because like even the fingers that used to be like the dead giveaway are like much better now.
All right, okay, Mr. Cherry Coke, we got coming in. We got the NFL or not NFL. We got the college football playoff predictions coming in. We will get to that in just a minute. Yeah, absolute chaotic and crazy scene yesterday, Smash. Where do you want to start first, dude?
Where do you think I want to start?
Well,
Let's
A&M
just
was
let's just give it to them because they've been giving it to all you
you just
UT
want to
fans.
rip it all. You just want to pull it off.
Yeah. I mean, this is the only way they can
I
heal.
kind of wanted to save this. I kind of
You wanted to save it. You're
well,
still
I mean,
savoring it.
it's a stepping stone, and they're not out of it yet.
Oh
right?
no, they're out of it. They're out of
No,
it.
they're
This is the
not.
type of loss that absolutely crushes an entire team. I don't care
Bro,
how good you are.
If they lose
No
next
motivation.
week, if they lose next week, then they're out of it.
And they will. And that's exactly what's going to happen. And you know what this is for? It's for the karma for having the bad bull during the Aggie ticket pool. If you've been there, you know it's supposed to be a slightly traditional yet cordial affair of people just waiting in line. Instead, people were getting crushed because people were trying to get to these tickets, hoping that it was going to be a matchup of top 10 teams to decide, and it still is going to decide who's going to go to the SEC championship game. Don't get me wrong, but this was going to be like their time to shine, to make it to the playoffs and all that jazz, and it's not going to happen. And as you can see, it brings a huge smile to my face.
What now? Why? What? I am actually confused because as an Aggie fan, or as an Aggie yourself, I would think that you would want the Aggies to kind of win out and do good.
Total 2%er though. I've said this consistently over the years that I'm a 2%er. Proudly, because it's like I got there, drank the Kool-Aid, tried to buy in, realized, hey,
you grab your testicles.
No, nobody grabbed those. I didn't have to grab them myself, and I wasn't lined up.
You didn't want to have empathy for your team? Are you kidding me?
No, man. Like I tried, but it's just all like at the end of the day, they didn't want me, so why would I care about them? Look, I put on the jersey for them once, so it's just look, I take the pride in the sports I played there, no doubt. And it's like, I like it when they're like the underdog, but when it's just the fan base, man. Like they make it so easy to hate. It's like you want to be so good, so bad. You have so much money and they've put it and poured it into all these athletic endeavors. And for the one sport it hasn't paid off for yet, it's been really football. And it's just all like they will never ever win a championship until they can change their heinous ways and understand when they got something good instead of thinking that they're like a University of Texas, one that can compete for a championship all the time. Now, in this new day of NIL, they should be winning a national championship, but they're not. So it's going to just make me smile to know that they spent all this money and they'll never make it happen because other teams are just in better positions and are too attractive of places to go. Are you asking me if I'm going to go to Miami instead of College Station? Heck yeah. Real quick. Same thing with Austin.
Yeah, no, yeah. Like Miami Coral Gables, like that is a crazy selling point. Like, I don't even care. And also, I think Miami's a private school, is it not?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah, that's what people wonder how Miami gets all that money. Well, or how Miami used to get all that money. They're a private school.
Uncle Luke, you remember Uncle Luke?
Oh yeah, sure, absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, Texas now leading the conference leading the SEC with only one conference loss. It was absolute pandemonium in the SEC, not just the SEC, in the top 25 yesterday. But yeah, so many losses in the SEC. Does Boise State's or does BYU's loss actually hurt them as much, or does Indiana's loss to Ohio State actually hurt them as much? Do they still have a chance to get in?
I mean, it really just depends on how good do you see Indiana being, and that's where I feel it's kind of unfair to them because it's like you can only play the schedule that you're given, and if you're trying to tell me that every game counts, even if you lose early, every game counts. It's just like, oh, well, if they don't make the playoffs, it clearly doesn't matter now what conference you're in. It really is just about name recognition. And if you got a brand that people will travel to watch, because that's at the end of the day, we all know what this is about, right?
It's funny because the conversation was dominated all last week by Cole Thompson and I about brand. And sure enough, that's what it's kind of alluding to and coming down to, right? It's coming down to brand.
Yeah,
and Indiana's probably going to get left out and screwed out of the deal because of brand.
I feel bad for Coach Signetti and those guys because they played a terrific season. They've beaten teams that they're not supposed to beat.
They started out on point against Ohio State. Like
That's just it.
It looked like they were going into Ohio Stadium, going into Buckeye Stadium, and they were going to beat the Buckeyes.
Number 2 team in the nation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I know it was number 2 versus number 5. If you got to number 5, you have to be.
Yeah, they were 2. I think they remain 2 this week, even though Texas got the win 2. I think they keep the nod over Texas. I would keep them over Texas.
I believe that they'll stay there too. And it's just one of those things though, where I'm just like, I know Indiana's a basketball school, right? But they've proven this year that, hey, even if it's a one-hit wonder thing, I think you still got to reward that. That was the whole point of expanding the playoffs, right? Was to make sure that the good teams like this didn't get left out. But it doesn't. I mean, that was the theory, anyways.
Here's my thing about this. Like, my whole belief is that they went to 12 because they knew it would just be a teaser. It wouldn't be enough. They could have squeezed Penn State in. They can squeeze Penn State in, keep that fan base happy, get more viewers for the playoff, but still piss enough people off to say, we need 16. We need 16. That's where this is going, amigo.
You've been watching your pro wrestling. Yes, controversy creates cash, and we all know this. So if the more you can keep it in the news cycle, the better for the product.
I have been watching WWE, as a matter of fact. You know what I just saw?
No, what you just see?
The match where it's Cena, Triple H, and Shawn Michaels.
Okay.
And Shawn, like, the match starts, and Shawn Michaels,
he just super kicks him?
Sweet chin music's Triple H.
Yeah, triple threat match for the championship. That's right.
I mean, you talk about controversy. Michaels made a career out of putting himself.
That's good storytelling, though, man. That's what people pay to see. And I mean, every college football game is a story, right? I mean, that's why they walk us down these roads during college game day and big noon kickoff.
Yes, so this scenario is right, but like, we would still be in the college football playoff.
Yeah, I would think so, but it's just all like, I don't want to give.
Is that not weird, Smash? So now, and this was kind of a conversation last week too. You're almost penalized for playing in your conference championship.
Oh yeah, it's another game to risk injury. It's another game that you have to perform well, because if you lose that game, you might not make the playoff. You know, for some teams, if they're on the bubble already, like they didn't need to perform that week, it would have best suited them just to sit out and let the other ones tumble, like the teams that were idle, like in Oregon this week. You know,
so it's more beneficial for A&M.
Yeah. I mean, well, no, because they need to win.
You're right, correct. It's more beneficial for a 3-loss team or a 2-loss team than it would.
Yeah, like if you got like 1 loss or 2 loss, you didn't make your championship, but you're right on the bubble, and that team that did beat you ends up going into the championship game and performs horribly. You know, that I think that would give you an argument to make that's like, look, they couldn't even win the championship. You know, even though they got there to the championship game, they couldn't win it. So you're supposed to weight the two teams together against each other, and then I guess you can decide from there. But obviously, no system is going to be 100% flawless. There's going to be flaws, right? But this one's just so voter driven, and it's really determined by a committee. You know, a lot of this is in the eyes of the beholder, so it's like people have biases naturally. So I'm just kind of like like in an instance of where Miami was getting in, but the ACC. Probably who is going to be the ACC champion, which is SMU, is not even in like discussion, even though they've been kicking ass all year.
What about Pony Up? What about Pony Express?
I mean, they're kind of like we're talking about Indiana right now and how they might get left out.
Right, exactly. And we're talking about a team that they're in their inaugural season in the ACC, and
which is supposed to be a big move, right? Because
it's a big move. It's a huge move, I would say. They're going. I don't know if I have the ACC as prestigious as I used to. No, I don't. When
it comes to Big 12 and ACC, who's the better conference right now? Because that's Big 12. Okay, because those are. It's kind of like European football or soccer now, right? Where it's like you have these leagues where everybody's professional, but you know the Premier League is the best league, followed by Italy's, followed by Spain's, followed by France, or no, Germany would be like the third best, followed by France, right? France would be the least. So it's like if you took the top five, what it would be? England. I'm a little off this morning, right? England, Italy, Germany, Spain, France. When it comes to strength of the leagues, and that's what you're seeing in college football now, right? So it's kind of like the SEC is the top league. I guess you can argue about the Big Ten if you got Big Ten bias, like those Penn State fans will. Same thing with Ohio State fans. But I see it SEC, Big 12, or sorry, SEC, Big 10, Big 12, like you said, and ACC after that. And probably the Mountain West as like the fifth strongest conference in the nation, give or take a few teams.
I'm trying to see who gets left out here.
Well, what about the Pac-12 champion? Which would be Oregon State this year, It's like no discussion for them because Washington State was ranked.
But I don't believe that they get a bye. I think Oregon State and I think the Pac-12 they don't get the bye because their schedules are going to be changing.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Like I don't have the actual.
Well, Joe over here on the chat saying like, well, the Pac-12 obviously isn't
exactly. They're
eligible.
not eligible because of their schedule.
But that's where I'm kind of like, well, at the same token though, it's like this was all supposed to be determined by conference champions. I feel like, if you won your conference championship, you should automatically get into this thing, right? Just like they do in college basketball for a lot of those at-large teams.
I think if you win the conference championship, you should get in and I'm with you. You should be able to punch your ticket because that would make the prestige or that would make the weight of the conference championship game have a little bit more value to it.
That makes it matter.
Yeah, exactly. It would bring noteworthy material to the damn game again. Now it's like, hey, if you're Texas and you lose next week, okay. It sucks that you lost a little brother. You want to rekindle the rivalry and make this thing continue. To be able to banter them about it, to heckle them at Thanksgiving. You want to be able to continue that. But at the counterpoint to that is, if you lose, you don't have to play in the SEC championship game against Georgia, take risk to injury, and be able to nurse yourself back to a better bill of health and get ready for the college football playoff.
Because I know everybody that's a Texas fan, their heart had to skip a beat yesterday when you saw Quinn Ewers go down with like that apparent leg injury, and it's just all like, okay, he continued on, but I mean, like, dang, don't get me wrong, I think Arch can pull him through because the Texas defense is really good, but it's just like
Texas defense is best in the nation.
Yeah, but you want your starting quarterback, the guy that you kind of built this program around going forward, to finish the job if possible, because they give you the best chance to win more than less. I'm not saying that Arch can't get the job done. It's just that like he still needs a little seasoning, I think, and Ewers is ready.
No, I'm with you. So I think Arch needs more reps. Clearly, it's kind of what we were getting on Quinn about in Quinn's earlier years. That's usually what it comes down to: more snaps, more reps, and then more confidence and comfortability comes at the position, right? For me with Quinn, I saw some good mobility out of him yesterday. I need to see that week in and week out. There's oftentimes where I feel like he has the skill set to escape and evade pass rushers and tacklers, would-be tacklers. But to me, I feel like sometimes he doesn't have the confidence to want to run away to where he's just trying to throw the ball away. Like, I think he's got the skill set to escape and evade and then get out there and have a 5-yard to 7-yard scamper. He just elects not to do that. Now, that might be career decision and preservation. I'm all for that, but I think that is a big part of the game, at least in the college football landscape, that unlocks everything.
I hate to say this, man. I just don't think he can do it against elite guys.
Maybe
like guys with real elite speed. I don't think he can do
speed,
that.
No, I get you. Talk about closing speed.
Yeah,
Colin Simmons.
Yes, that guy. Wow,
this is a freshman that is wrecking the SEC now.
This guy is like,
hey, look, I didn't want to be hyperbolic. Like I wanted to make this tweet so bad, right? But I backed off. I sat on it for a little bit, but I still feel this way, man. The greats when you see them. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like they got that. They got it.
I don't know if he's Hall of Fame material yet, but this dude, when I see him, Smash, when I see him, and I know this is crazy, I know it's going to sound outrageous, but I see Lawrence Taylor.
Ooh, okay.
He is an absolute game changer, man. You run at him, and he still is able to make the tackle. You run away from him, and he rushes and gets the sack. He wrecks game plans. And maybe it's just because of my association with the Giants that I'm seeing a linebacker like this, or I'm seeing the ceiling of a linebacker, a Hall of Fame linebacker like this. But yeah, like Lawrence Taylor was an X factor. Colin Simmons is an X factor.
Dude, I'm glad you said that because I thought you were going to be like, I thought I was a little crazy because I was going to be like, oh, I thought you were going to say Troy Polamalu. You know, another guy that could be a big disruptor, another guy that had to be taken into account anytime you game plan against them.
Troy was in the second, like he was an X, like you can move him anywhere.
But he could play anywhere, and that's where I kind of feel like I know I'm not saying like position per position. I'm saying impact of game. Like you have to plan for Polamalu because he's an explosive player, right? Exactly, and that's why I see in Simmons is the same deal. It's like you have to game plan for him. I feel because he's going to wreck shop for you, or wreck shop against you if you're the opposition. Hey, you got a lot of questions coming on this comments line.
We'll get them.
I really do like Joe's question about Sark not trusting Arch to be a game manager because like why didn't he pull Quinn Ewers last night when he couldn't move?
It was senior. I thought first and foremost it was senior night. You know what I mean? Maybe you wanted to let your senior or and Quinn's not a senior. Everybody, you know, Quinn still has 1 year of eligibility left, but
he's gone.
If you're going out there with the seniors, I would think maybe you want to finish with the seniors. And I think if all goes as planned, this will be Quinn's last season at Texas. He's very.
I mean, would you want him back for another year? I mean,
it's a great problem to have, Smash. It's a great problem to have Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning in the same locker room. But you know, I don't think that you would get too much of a push from Manning's camp to leave. I think that they would acquiesce and allow this relationship to continue. The writing's on the wall. Like Arch Manning knows he's going to be a pro. Like and the fact that you can make money with NIL right now, there's no rush to move and go anywhere else. Everybody's seen enough game film of Arch Manning to know that he's going to be a Sunday football player.
Oh, I mean, he already has the lineage and has the tangibles that was going to get him a tryout in the league regardless. And I kind of feel like he would be able to hang around just as a coach even if he wanted to. So he's going to make his money regardless. But I do feel like there is still that part of a competitiveness nature that you have to be a top tier athlete where it's like, why should he sit? And
I agree.
I really think
that he absolutely wants to be out there with every damn snap, right?
Yeah, I mean, like
he's being an ultimate team player by not being an asshole and requesting transfers and going to another team. Like
I don't think he's the dude from. I don't know if you've seen this, but I don't know if you ever watched Blue Mountain State, but I don't think he's like that type of backup quarterback, you know?
That's where Homeboy got his start, right? The dude from Reacher.
Oh, the one that plays Thad. That's right. The blonde dude, right?
Yeah, he's the linebacker.
Yeah, he's the idiot linebacker, the one that's all gung-ho about the team, telling guys about oil changes and stuff. Yes.
The one that protects the backup quarterback, does the condom check. No,
yeah.
He was trying to tag you.
Yeah, he was like, "Hey, you gotta make sure." He's like poking the
Blue Mountain State. That's a good pool, dude. That's a gem. That was a
dude. I don't think you can make that show now. It's a little. It was like one of those Spike TV things that was high on the raunch factor. So, you know, place and time. But yeah, still had its moments. Some of them, like I don't know about you, but Program was like one of my favorite movies. So yeah, I had to explain this to like some new like Gen Zers and stuff, and it's just like, oh. Half of the stuff in that movie.
There's people out there that still don't watch the Program.
They never seen it. How they wouldn't know. But I'm like, I feel like it's one of you know how Hollywood likes to remake movies. That's one of those movies that needs to be remade.
No.
It would totally be.
I'm actually done with the remakes of the movies. Like in Glenn Powell, we love you, buddy. Austin, one of Austin's finest actors, but we got to get out of the 80s remakes. Like you're a much better talented actor than this, we can get you with some originality. Like, you do not have to go down the 80s Hall of Fame walk right now and start to rekindle all these, success films that happen. Let's get some originality out there. You got great actors.
Oh,
Let's get Glenn in some good stuff.
dude, originality in Hollywood right now is dead anyways. Everything is like a sequel because
Hollywood's dead. No one. No, I don't even think people are making movies in Hollywood anymore. They're either going to Atlanta,
they're not
or
making
Austin, or.
But I mean, like, even then, nobody's putting out movies like The Notebook or anything like that, because it's like nobody's going to take chances on these these little small art house films, because like everything has to be a big blockbuster to make the insane amount of money that they're investing in these films back.
I don't know. Like Nolan takes risks, doesn't he?
Because he can afford to. But it's like, he already had he made Batman. He made all those Batman movies to have this type of insurance to do these type of things, Like, he had to make the blockbusters to even have this right. Like Spielberg had to go through like the little action stuff in order to have the right to make the films that he wanted to make. So it's like, until you can prove that they can make the films that they want you to make, then and only then if you have that type of pool.
Consider Inception? Is Inception an action movie?
Yeah,
I mean, it's got a lot of action in it.
It's like a thriller. Definitely a thriller, like a psychological thriller, because of like all the mind bending and stuff. But again, he wouldn't get to have made a movie like that unless he had success with the movies.
I'm with Double R right here, man. Remakes are slap in the face of the original. Like, I thought the new Top Gun was well done because it was a different mission.
But that's not a remake. That's a sequel.
You could call it a sequel if you wanted to. Like,
that's a sequel.
I'll entertain it, but Smash, it was carbon copy, almost cookie cutter.
Yeah, beat for beat,
where they had the same romantic dialogue happening. Like, it was just set up like a template, buddy.
Well, yeah, because they knew what they were doing, because the formula worked so well the first time that it's going to work on the generation that hadn't seen it.
Was on point.
And for us, it was like, oh, a nice little stroll around down nostalgia lane, if you recall the first movie, which is part of the reason why you came to see the second one.
Yeah, but all right, but where's the balance from the nostalgia and the cheese?
Where's the balance?
Yeah,
they don't care about the balance. They just want the money, and they made a lot of it, so they made enough balance.
Like, I can't be watching Tom Cruise and what's her damn name? I always forget.
I don't know. Realistically, like, the age gap was too big of an age gap, but I can't think of her name either. But it's all
Jennifer Connelly. She was like one of my first crushes. Jennifer Connelly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can't have Tom Cruise and Jennifer Connelly making out and doing some cheesy, corny romance thing that kind of reminds me of seeing my grandparents kiss.
Essentially, yeah, right.
Gross.
I mean, but hey, old people watch movies too, man.
Yeah,
that's why
Gladiator 2 is the same. Like, I'm with Ike here, man. It's
no interest in seeing it though.
No, I mean, not in the theater. I'll watch it when it gets released.
Okay, so you'll see it eventually. I got you.
But I mean, I don't have that captivated feeling to rush to the box office to go see it.
Yeah, I can see that. But I mean, I don't really care to see a lot of the movies anyways that come out. I've never really been like a big movie goer unless it's something really, really good.
Okay, Joe, come on.
Why remake Planet of the Apes or Ben-Hur? Okay, in those cases, like, the technology helps out a lot.
That is a good comparison. That's those movies that are kind of outdated with like the sci-fi stuff like that. I agree with you. Those
get updated for new generations.
But like Total Recall, I enjoyed that story because they kind of redid the storyline, right? They didn't make it the same as they did with the 80s with the Arnold Schwarzenegger Total Recall. Like, I thought Colin Farrell's Total Recall, and the fact that it wasn't with like space, it was done through Australia in a different country. Like, it was more believable instead of like going to Mars and having life on Mars and shit like that. I thought, changing the story, just alternating the storyline is a little bit more believable and and better sometimes in remakes. But no, I'm with you. There's some sci-fi remakes that actually have a good pulse, but
You know what
dude,
movie I think would work?
don't touch Twister. Like Twister didn't need to be touched. It just did.
I
It
mean, but
really
for a new generation, like the effects, even though they're really good for like 1994, 1995, it's just like listening to old music. It's like unless you really understand the time and the period, it's hard for a younger generation to go back and appreciate
make
it.
a Blazing Saddles and I know that's why you're saying that is because damn well that
I mean, you
the
could
fabric of our
just
society is so damn fragile that they would not allow
yeah.
you to make a satirical movie like Blazing Saddles anymore.
I
You
mean,
just
you
can't.
could make it. It's just that it
You
would
could,
have
but you can't
no.
the next day, and you wouldn't have a career.
Well, if you try to make it like the original, yes, but I would think that people would acquiesce and just kind of water it down so we just have the name and like they can make the money off of the name,
Do you know
even
why
though it wouldn't
Blazing
hit the
Saddles is
same.
do you know why Blazing Saddles is still a good hit? Why it still lasts the test of time? It's because of
I
how crude and raunchy it was, and people, it does not need to be remade. Like it's almost perfection, satirical perfection. Mel Brooks was king of that.
I mean, he is putting out Spaceballs too, so we'll see if he still
Is he
has
really?
the
I
cast.
haven't. Are
Yeah,
you serious?
yeah, I'm not even joking. Like there is going to be another
I gotta
Spaceball movies. We
I
can
gotta
look it
look
up.
this up. Gotta
I'll
look
double
this up.
check.
All right, my dude. It has been an hour into the show, and we've barely talked any sports. We've kind of flirted
Well,
with a little bit of
that's what
college
this show
football.
does sometimes. Oh,
Yeah,
and you need to answer the guy's question about the fantasy football tight end situation real quick. Might have to scroll back up on the comments.
I got you. Cam Daddy, we got you. Ertz, Goddard, Janu Smith this week. Also, rest of the season, who would you have?
I mean, I would say Goddard, but I mean, Ertz is looking. I mean, Washington.
Goddard
Well.
is the safer play, right? But
Yeah.
here's the thing, too. I'm big on Janu. Janu Smith had one hell of a week last week. Like he's been starting to come on in a couple of weeks here. Tua's coming back. Tua's been back.
That too, but we're like down the stretch here trying to make the playoffs for a lot of these fantasy football teams.
Forgive me. I'm going to tell you to lay up here. I'm going to tell you to go with Goddard just because we are just what Smash said. It's critical. It's where the what is the feet hit the pavement hits the road or whatever. I don't know the damn.
You got to get into the dance in order to win this
time,
thing.
damn it, that's what I mean to say.
Yeah.
It's crunch time. I would
Joe,
go with
taking off, Joe?
go with Goddard for sure. For sure. What else we got here, Smash? What do you want to get to next? We still haven't.
Well, we haven't really touched on this college football mayhem. I was saying Joe was taking off.
We would be remiss if we didn't really circle back and kind of wrap up the whole college football scenarios here. Yesterday, like we talked about the pandemonium and the mayhem. Penn State almost dropped.
Are they that good? Like, do they deserve the rank in the
no,
okay, thank you.
They're not that good. Again, we kind of alluded to this. This whole 12-team playoff scenario was just to allow teams like Penn State to stop them from crying and allow them to get into the dance and to see if they can even play. But when you almost get your boat rowed by Minnesota,
yeah. And this isn't the first close call this season.
Franklin can't win big games. We've seen that.
We've seen this before. But I think that's the problem with Indiana, and we've seen this in the past. Remember when Hawaii got blown out by Alabama when they finally cracked through during the BCS, and it's just like, okay, we let the little guy in the one time, and they couldn't perform. So
Joe, we ain't going anywhere yet. We got another hour, baby. We got another hour. I'm just saying it's been an hour, and we still haven't talked enough.
Yeah, well, maybe they got to take off. That's why I was just like, if you're taking off, thanks for coming in, and welcome all those new people that might be just chiming in here on the second hour of the Wagner Wire. Totally understandable. Sometimes you can't fit all 2 hours with us in one day. So
that's why you go back and listen to the podcast, amigo.
There you go. And that's where, we go back to the AI thing. It's like you got sound bites of sound bites and sound bites, hours and hours and hours of your voice work already here. So don't be surprised if you hear yourself some other day, like on the phone, where it's giving yourself directions and somebody just made a program with your voice.
I'll sue, damn it.
You could, but I mean, I don't know what the law
so if you guys are
point.
just tuning in to the Wagner Wire instead
just to give you the first part recap.
The first hour was dominated by a lot of AI conversation. Just to give you a heads up. So
yeah, it's like what you're watching right now.
We talked a lot of movies in AI conversation too. So All right, so 38 to 15 was the score from Ohio State to Indiana. The aforementioned Indiana there. Are they real or not, Smash? Do you have
Well,
them
we
in
were.
the college football playoff?
Oh yeah. They deserve to be in the playoff because that's what the playoff is supposed to be made for. So you play your schedule, right? You do the best you can. It's a number 5 team losing to a number 2 team on the road in one of the more difficult places to play college football game, regardless of who the visiting team is, right? To go to Ohio State.
I
Texas
agree
has
with
done
that.
it. They know
I
how it
agree with that.
is. And to top it off, it's just kind of like, you mean to tell me that Penn State's better? Despite winning, I don't see it. So I'm just kind of like, look, somebody has to get in, right? And the whole point of all of this was to give a team like an Indiana who has a terrific season in one of the more premier conferences in the nation a chance to get in. And if we're breaking this down, it was a close first half, right? So it's like, how bad is this team? Did they just run
I
out of
would
gas
say it
that
was a
day?
close first quarter.
They scored first.
I think the turning point was the pick six.
Yeah. And that's something that, like, hey, we saw it with Ole Miss yesterday. You're gonna make mistakes no matter how good you're gonna be. It's just all like, I understand
Jesus,
that
that was
losses.
Smash. That was a meltdown. We could take an hour breaking down.
Yeah, but it's just like, I'm not
That
even like
start. I
surprised
mean,
by it. That's why I'm just like, I'm not even shocked. It's them, Penn
I am.
State,
I'm
Texas
shocked because
A&M.
I thought Ole Miss was going to run the table. Honestly,
No,
I really did.
no, man. I've been telling
I
you since the
really
beginning
did.
of the year.
I had gone full belief. I had jumped full force into the freshwater pond. I was all in, man.
Hey, look, I know there's nines or
Even without Harris, like I thought
no.
they had magic to do it.
You're drinking that Kool-Aid and Oxnard, man. No, or Oxford.
Brother, I was on board, man. I was so
No,
sold.
man. No, this
I
is a
was
lane.
so sold, dude.
Look who the head coach is, man. It's just like name recognition. Never won anything.
They had one of the most experienced quarterbacks. They had one of the most efficient offenses, and they had the best pass rush in the SEC, which you could argue is the best pass rush in the college football landscape. They don't have the best defense, but they got one hell of a good pass rush, right? They're leading in sacks. So to me, I thought that is it's an excellent recipe for success to go out there and kind of trying to go home and capture this championship. I thought their percentages was fantastic, but now, I mean, hell, man, there's no damn what. I don't know how you can have Ole Miss in. I just don't. I don't know how you can have Bama in.
You don't.
There's SEC.
That was their own fault, man.
Their destinies yesterday, man, and they let it get away from them.
Like, how good is the SEC conference from top to bottom? I mean, how strong is it? Because
come on, man. Like the SEC conference is absolutely it's the cream of the crop. But what we saw yesterday was everybody beating down. It's almost like that old NFC East battle or the old NFC East competitions, to where they would always be the king division of the NFC, but their records would be kind of middle of the road because of them just beating up on each other.
Man, but now I feel like, okay, so now we have to have an SEC rule all of a sudden, where it's like, okay, so if there's 2 losses for an SEC team, these should still be viable for the playoffs. But if there's 3 losses, then we need to go to a committee, followed by a game of Monopoly, followed by a game of life, and see who finishes in first place. And that will determine between them and the champion of the, let's say, ACC, who gets like the last spot into this playoff. And I'm just kind of like, man, where does the line get drawn? Because I understand the SEC is good, but we should even have a conversation about the possibilities of an Ole Miss or Alabama getting in. Although we all know right now, at least for Alabama, that is all tracking in the back rooms of the wheeling and dealing of who's going to get in on this thing. Because yes, you want that fan base, you want that notoriety, and you want that money. And you know that they're one of those teams that, when given the opportunity to dance, that they can perform.
And it's not just the fact that they perform, it's what you were just alluding to, right? It's the money. It's the fan base. They're going to draw a crowd. Hell, you could put them on the West Coast and their fan base is going to travel all the way out to the West Coast to see the bowl game. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
I
don't see that with
that's
Ole
what
Miss.
You want. That's kind of the fan base and the institution that you want in the college football playoff. That's what this thing was designed for. Problem is that you're going to have a lot of people up in arms if they do get in. And
I would be the first one.
I'm kind of there with you, but here's the counterpoint to that.
There should be no counterpoint, Wags.
There is, though. There is. You can't tell me that BYU on the same field with Alabama is going to beat Alabama 9 times out of 10.
That's just it. And that's what we're all thinking. But I think this year that, yeah, you could beat them at least 3 times out of 10, especially with the way that they played last night.
I will entertain 3 times out of 10.
I mean, you mean the guy that got pulled earlier in the season got the starting job again and came back and destroyed what was supposed to be the dynasty of Alabama?
I will entertain 3 times out of 10, and I think Milroe is one of the best quarterbacks in college football landscape.
Yeah, he's good,
the
but I mean, like
Alabama right now is their secondary. Their secondary is absolute dog shit. So
you mean to tell me the guy that had no opportunities coming out of high school and still was just a 2-star transfer in Pavia beat this titan of college football? Granted, they were at home.
That dude has been playing out of his gourd, by the way. He didn't just beat.
Dude, that's my dude, bro. He
didn't just beat Milroe. He's been putting it on the SEC. So
yeah, man. Yeah, no, he's legit.
Look at Joe K's comment here, and I see your comment. We'll get to your fantasy football comment here in just a second. Here, get this: if Vandy beats Tennessee and Oklahoma beats LSU, South Carolina might get into the college football playoff, and nobody wants to see Cocky right now. Very true statement. Cocky's a team on the outside looking in that could absolutely wreck somebody's hopes and dreams of.
I ran into a couple of loudmouth Gamecock fans this week.
My point. It's not like, and again, it's there's. We all know that there's an SEC bias out there.
Of course.
It's almost to the point where it's so damn cringe to where you don't even want to admit that you're in the SEC just because people are going to look at you cross-eyed, be like, you're elite. You're one of them.
Well, I mean, that's the reason why Texas had to move. It was understandable, and Oklahoma did the same thing. So
hey, shout out to Oklahoma too. By the way,
yeah, it wasn't just Texas, y'all. It was like
claps to Oklahoma. Oklahoma showing up yesterday, and I don't know if that saved Venable's job.
Yeah, it definitely did. It definitely extended it, and it definitely helped out Texas.
I don't know how hot that seat was for Venables. But I believe the Venables is going to be there next season, and Billy Napier too.
Dude,
Billy Napier. There was a lot of people that were throwing Sunbelt.
Should have been fired already.
Sunbelt Billy out already, right?
Yeah, but he's got it down now, setting things up. So I'm just kind of like, those guys did everybody a solid favor, as well as the game that we didn't talk about over in the Mountain Time Zone where ASU took out BYU. Because they were supposed to crash this dance.
Chaos everywhere.
Yeah, dude. And they rushed the field, and everybody had to get off with just 1 second left. I mean, the play calling at the end for ASU was atrocious. Should have just scored the touchdown, let it be.
So where are you at? If you're the refs and that happens, right? The goalposts are torn down. It's literally 1 second left, Smash. And you
have to give it.
That delay? 15-minute delay?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, man, because they were checking with the studio or whatever who was replaying this thing, to make sure that there was still a second. Because the clock doesn't stop until it touches somebody out of bounds, even in the stands. So as soon as somebody made contact with the football, the clock stops, and there was a second left. But that's what they were checking. Did it really touch this person with 1 second left, some random fan? And apparently it did. I mean, give them credit. They were able to get the last second off, but I mean, you have to, right? I mean, if he's great, he's such a good running back, dude.
Rushing rating gonna be in college football coming up next week, man.
Dude, if he's not the top running back, besides Jaunty, I mean, or Genie, it's gonna be.
He doesn't have the speed, but he's got
elusiveness, man, and he can run people over.
He's got the quick first step, and he's got the yard after tackle ability. Clearly,
I think he's a better Toby Gerhardt. That's for sure.
I mean, I would put him. Probably at if you're putting Jaunty at if you're making Jaunty a 98 or a 99 running back overall, I would say that Scatabo is around a 91 or a 92.
Yeah, I was going to say easily. But I mean, I want to think he's at least the second best running back in the nation right now.
I want, Smash. That's the job I want. I want to be the ratings adjuster.
Jeez, man, that's a tough job. That's a really tough
job. I want, man. You know what?
Don't they got scouting teams where they send people out to go do this, and you're supposed to help adjust?
You know what, Smash? Self-fulfilling prophecy. I will be the rating adjuster for college football.
Wow, that'd be pretty cool.
Be the ratings adjuster for college football 25. I will be the ratings adjuster for college football 26. I will be the ratings adjuster for college football 27. That's more realistic. It's a more realistic approach.
Dude, that's badass. That would be an awesome job to have.
That's what we're going
just
to do.
having to
All
go
right,
fly out
need
and watch
two
people
here. Need two. Calvin Ridley, Quentin Johnston, Cortland Sutton, or Debo. No Brock Purdy today.
Yeah, and Debo hasn't exactly had a great season. He's been like fighting through injuries and stuff. He just hasn't been as consistent. I was like,
caveat with no Brock Purdy. Usually, it is all Debo all the time, is it not? They try and get the ball in his hands mostly, right? You with it through in around or direct snap. Don't know where Shano is going to go here.
I want to say, like, yeah, you used to, but I mean, the way he's been playing this season, I don't think he really is that guy anymore, unfortunately.
Dude, it's been too many peaks and valleys for me with QJ, with Quentin Johnston. You'd think that between the battle of the brothers here, between the Harbaugh Bowl, you'd think that this is just going to get traditional and run the damn ball and get the hell out of there.
I don't see this being a high-scoring game necessarily either. I think a lot of it's going to be about ball control. I mean, I like Ridley.
I'm going to tell you Sutton and Debo. I'm going to go Sutton and Debo here.
I want to say, Ike, real quick though. I do like Ridley just in his like his Ricky Bobby style approach to points scoring this year, where it's like, hey, he either has a big game or he doesn't show up. But more than usual this season, he's had big games. So, take it with what you will. I'm not sure if they're playing in the dome today.
So crazy, right? Like QJ can get you 25 points, or he's going to get you 2.
That also very true. So it's just like, yeah, you're playing with like a lot of fireworks here, because some of these are just going to be a little black cats, and some of these are the ones that can blow off like your whole hand, like JPP style. So we gotta figure out.
Jason Pierre-Paul. Oh,
hey, is he still in the league?
No,
he's still playing.
He's not in the league. No? I don't think so. I don't think he's in the league. I
thought he was. I thought he was like in a rotation somewhere.
All right, continuing our Pretenders comment here. Great band, fantastic band, but that's not what we're talking about. The Pretenders of college football. Penn State, still Pretenders to me. Almost getting your boat rode in Minnesota there. Notre Dame taking down Army. I think they answered the question for us all here. Look, this is tough for Service Academy teams, okay? And I kind of mentioned this a little bit before, but there's things called height and weight standards in the military, and that still pertains and exists in Service Academies too. Now, there's a little bit leeway with that because you can still get taped out and you can get body fat percentage done and written off. But even as a cadet or a midshipman or type of recruit, and when you're student status, you still have to adhere by heights and weight standards. Smash, when you put Army up against any of the other top 20, not just top 25 teams, you can go with schools outside of the top 25, and when you put Army, line them up side by side or across the field from the opposition, you're going to see clearly heads and shoulders differential in just height and weight standards between the opposition and Army. Army's usually going to be the smaller team.
Yeah, definitely so. And that's why these, service academies have always been so prone to running like,
but
a lot of misdirection.
Back in the 50s, they were fantastic because, weight programs and strength training programs weren't exactly on par yet with the rest of the service academies. And, doing push-ups and pull-ups and sit-ups and running 3 miles was the best physical exercise that you could get back in those days, right? Well, now they're doing incredible strength training and squatting 600 pounds, and they're just behemoth of men that are on the opposite side of the service academy teams. Notre Dame flexed yesterday.
Oh, as they should, because Army
tried to keep up, and it won. My question now that and again, Notre Dame was playing Army, but how in that if
it was a high-ranked Army team.
What's that?
It was a really high-ranked Army team.
It's a fantastic high-ranked Army team, right? But if Notre Dame, watching Notre Dame yesterday just looked so smooth, and again, consider the opposite Army Service Academy. My thought was, my God, if this team had not lost to NIU, we would be now. Of course, they're they can't have a bye either, but they would be the 5. They would be the clear 5, I would think, going into this.
I mean, but how much of that is like Notre Dame biasness? Because it's like, I'm even as not being a Notre Dame fan,
you would argue Texas A&M was playing fantastic football until last night, right?
Yeah, but I mean, offensively, they still
like they were figuring it out in college
against Army. Like this offense can't go against a real defense. We've already seen that, and we already know that they're prone. They're bedwetters. They will wet the bed at the most inopportune time because that's what Notre Dame has done for the last 30 years. Because they're not relevant for a reason. Because they can't show up in big games, and it's like we're not going to give Indiana a chance to show up. But we're going to fit in Notre Dame, even though we already know that they have a track record of big-time BCS championship-style games that they can't compete against the top teams.
Good point.
So I'm just thinking to myself, like, wow, this is a team that almost lost to an A&M team that lost against Auburn. Granted, a great game, but a team that had their own destiny within their own hands that couldn't get the job done either. So I'm like, how am I supposed to take Notre Dame for real just because they beat up on Army last night? You know, I'm just kind of like, I'll see it when I believe it.
Right. Yeah.
I still have the same feeling from the Notre Dame team that got to the BCS championship game and just absolutely got destroyed by one of the best Alabama teams that we've ever seen. Probably one of the best teams in college football we've ever seen. But, you know, that's subjective. All subjective. And that's what college football is, right? It's all about being subjective and regional biases and conference biases. And of course, what other college has had so many stories written about them and Touchdown Jesus and Rudy and all this other stuff that goes around with the lore of Notre Dame.
But be that as
but they'll get in, right?
With all the bias out there for Notre Dame and you know, the golden helmet gleam, I still don't have them. I can't give them a bye in the first round. Like,
well, they still got to beat USC next week.
Out there than Notre Dame, they're just are.
You think they destroy USC next week? Because they still got to win that game. I mean, that's like a rivalry game.
I don't think they destroy USC, but I think they beat USC.
Well, we'll see.
Riley Leonard's been playing a lot better. Like Riley Leonard's found a way to throw the ball.
He's found a way.
He didn't have that. He didn't have the ability in the first 3 games. He couldn't throw the ball.
I remember seeing it. It was atrocious to watch that offense. But it's just kind of like, you know, again, they lost to NIU at home. It's just kind of like, come on, like you can have a bad game, but that was a really bad game to have. Like that's where I'm just kind of like, I know you're going to get in because you're Notre Dame, but it's like if you lose to USC. I got some reservations, but we'll find out if they win next week. I think, you know, obviously they're going to get in with the way that their record stands now. But I think next week, if something changes, something big happens, like we saw already where everything got shook up this week, I think you have to have a real discussion that maybe they aren't set for the playoff. No matter how excitement they have been.
What I really want to see happen next week is Miami loses Syracuse, SMU Steamboat. Who are they playing? Cal? I think they're playing Cal. Who is SMU? Yeah, SMU's playing California. SMU just steamroll California, and then we only have one team from the ACC getting in, and then the rest is just filled with SEC and Big 12. So, actually, not Big 12, Big 10. Big 10.
Yeah, but you still need that one spot.
Let the Big 10 afterthoughts get in so that they stop crying. So. Again, that's not a slap, the backhanded slap to not even a backhanded. That's not a slap in the face to the Big Ten. I'm just tired of everybody crying about Penn State. We
know why I hate them.
We know what Penn State's going to do.
Yeah, they're going to, you know, wet the bed
Penn
too,
State
man.
I might start hating the Penn State fan base more than I hate the Ohio State fan base.
They as much as I hate Texas A&M and such. I hate the Penn State fans the most because they had some success in the 1980s and they feel that they're the same team even after all the scandal and stuff. Like they drank the Kool-Aid hard and they can't admit that some things were wrong.
LeVar Arrington is no longer on the sideline, my dude.
Yeah, guys.
Saquon Barkley is no longer running the ball for Penn State.
Even when he was, it wasn't winning you a national championship.
Powerhouse when he was running the ball, was he?
Yeah, exactly. They were probably one of these teams that got highly ranked and then, you know, ran out of luck towards the end of the season. I could believe that happening because, like you said, Franklin hasn't won a big game at Penn State. that had actual meaning to the season, because then they just ended up losing games that they were supposed to lose anyways.
Let's be Indiana's a bigger story than you are right now.
Yeah,
Come on.
I would say so. And I mean, like, again, I think it's really unfair to Indiana to not give them a shot if they lost against what could arguably also be the number one team in the
I agree
nation,
with
depending
you.
on how you look
I
at
agree. And
things.
I hate the whole quality loss.
Because that's super subjective. Yes,
It is.
I'm with you.
And that's been the trend this year. Is that's been the theme, right? The quality losses, quality loss. Like, I'm not trying to. A quality loss is still a loss.
Yeah, it's still a loss, and I hate the fact that losses, later in the season don't count way more than they do early on in the season, a la Notre Dame. But I'm kind of with Joe here, where it's like the 12-team playoff was set up to get Penn State in the playoffs because they kept on getting left
100%.
out.
Joe, I'm with you here. Not only there's a addition to this. It was set up to get Penn State in, specifically set up to get Penn State in, but it was also set up to just leave us going, damn, if we only had 16, this thing would be perfect.
If we only had 16 teams. Don't make it sounding like the World Cup now, where FIFA is just like, hey, you know what? If we had 48 teams instead of 36,
we get them
imagine how much
just enough to make them want more, and then we get more money that way.
Yeah. Some of those teams that have, got left out, big European spenders and travelers. If we can get the Scottish in, they travel. Same thing with the Irish. They travel hard. So
they travel hard, man.
Dude, they bring a good time, man.
We didn't tell you about our lovely sponsors here for the Wagner Wire on Texas Sports Unfiltered. It is audiovisual consultations. Whether you're watching college football, professional football, F1 racing, or you're watching, hockey, which is Tom's favorite sport, or you're watching basketball, man, it's all dead lean you do with AV Consultations. They've been setting the standard in audiovisual automation since 1988. That's 35 years in the industry and doing it the best in our Fairburg of Austin, Texas. For more, let's hear more from Tom McKay.
Hi, this is Tom McKay with Audiovisual Consultations. Scientific data proves it. Size does matter. The bigger and wider your television is, the better. Football season is here, and the time is now to get your entire audio-video experience tuned up and ready. New flat screens, projection video, Dolby True HD Surround, all the goodies at great prices and followed up with great service. So call us at 255-8678. That's 255-8678, or on the web at avconsultations.com.
Yes, they are, man. Just get it right there.
Hi, this is Tom McKay with Audiovisual Consultations.
What's going on?
Scientific data proves it. Size does matter.
God, it was on loop. It was on replay.
Hey,
loop track. No, we don't want
there,
loop
Tom.
track. I must have messed up and hit that setting. My bad. Apologies.
Good. That's a good voiceover, though. I like it. That's smooth commercial.
He's smooth. He is smooth with it, dude. He's one of the best reads in the business, man.
I'm like, I am not
He's good.
Him. That was good.
Real quick, yeah. So we talked on Notre Dame and Army. We mentioned
Ole Miss.
And
ASU winning against BYU.
Texas A&M, right? Texas A&M losing last night and 4 overtimes really set the standard or set the scene up for next week. Would have been way more of a compelling game next week if Texas A&M would have won last night. But now,
it's still...
be that as it may, Texas A&M can beat the Longhorns and play the Georgia Bulldogs for the SEC championship. A chance for redemption at not only beating Big Brother, but then a chance to get in to the college football playoff and dance. Now, if you ask me, regardless of the outcome next week, I think the Longhorns are in. I think they've done enough. I think the resume shows enough to where they have proven that they are the one of the top 12 teams in the college football landscape. You can argue, even the arguments that were made about Florida's, Texas's strength of schedule playing Florida, or weak schools that appeared to be weak like Florida. They are now starting to play at a more higher level, beating teams like Ole Miss and teams that were projected to make a deep run into these playoffs. So if you ask me, man, I think the Longhorns have solidified their spot in the college football playoff, regardless of the outcome next season or next.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, Oklahoma, Florida, Texas A&M all did UT a favor last night. So
big time.
So I'm like, dang.
And Oklahoma beating Alabama emphatically like that, like sure, 24 points. It's not the fact that they only put up 24 points; it's the margin of victory that they had, and the fact that Bama didn't even they kept him out of the end zone. So look,
yeah.
Again, 24 points isn't exactly a lot of points, but it feels like an emphatic win to me.
No, but that's where the next argument would have been made, right? Where it's like, oh, well, Alabama, they have the pedigree. And I know they got the new head coach, but they're clearly as good as Texas, right? Because you go back to, like, if they played each other 10 times out of 10, how many times?
I need the stuff that Carl is on right now. Like, Carl, my weekend.
Good OG stuff, huh?
Like, Miami can't beat SMU, Carl.
That's my thing, man. Like, that's my one question with this is like, is this designed to get Miami into it too? Because SMU is the team that I figured would be representing the ACC as things stand.
They don't have Pony Express don't have the brand name yet that Miami does, which is kind of what we were talking about.
Understandable, but I'm just like, you can only play the schedule you're given, and they've been one of the best teams in college football. And Carl's saying both teams should be in. I mean, Miami's played pretty decently.
You're preaching to the choir. I'm with you. I am absolutely with you. SMU and Miami should absolutely have a bid, and they are 2 of the 12 best teams in college football. I agree, 100%.
But I
think yesterday was so crazy that I don't know which teams. I think it was just maybe a full moon or something.
It had to be something
Mercury's
in the atmosphere.
Retrograde. I don't know. You make up the crazy, excuse that happened yesterday with the SEC. I'm not trying to be an SEC bias. I'm not.
No, but that's what happens.
I do think the best football is played in the SEC normally, but I think what happened in not just in the SEC but in all of college football yesterday was just absolutely bonkers and batshit. Penn State struggled. You could argue that Georgia struggled at first, and then they found a way to turn it on to UMass. But again, not the best football was played yesterday. And honestly, you go and see teams like Oklahoma and Florida, and you could say that it was season-saving victories. Or I won't call them season-saving, but I guess moral victories, if you want to believe in that type of bullshit, which I don't in football.
I was gonna say I get you, but I'm just all like, I mean, Joe makes a good point too,
Carl, yeah, I'm at this is I didn't think that NIL would shape it up like this, and I don't even know if NIL is the reason for it.
I mean, it helps.
I feel like it does help, right? It does help balance with the parity. Like, instead of having elite talent sit behind elite talent, now you have that elite talent spread out.
Yeah,
they
got the freedom to leave.
Want that instant gratification, that instant success.
Without NIL, we wouldn't see a guy like Pavia be able to play at Vandy because he would have that SATA year, and if he had that SITA year,
transfer over. Correct.
Yeah, he would have lost out on the eligibility. His career would have been over. So it's just one of those things.
We wouldn't have been able to see teams like Kentucky, right?
Yeah.
That had, talented recruits that were going to Georgia, transfer over and come into Kentucky and make them, somewhat into the conversation of a compelling team or a contending team.
But
and
that's just
again, go back to that quality losses stuff, right? Like Kentucky's got quality losses against Georgia. Could you say that? A 31-14 outcome is a quality loss against Texas. I think anything outside of 2 scores negates the quality loss argument.
Because
a quality loss has to be within a 3-point or 1-point margin, does it not?
Maybe, but I think it also has a lot to do with the rankings too, and that's where we go back to Indiana, because I'm like, well, look, I understand that it was worse than what the actual final score ended up being, but if you just take it on paper, the final score, that's just a 2-touchdown difference against what can arguably be the number 1 team in the nation on the road at noon when that should
Kansas boat racing Colorado.
Yeah,
who's supposed to have the best player in college football.
Well, they had their destiny in their hands.
The prototype quarterback of NFL. Like with destiny in their hand. No, I'm smashed. Like there was so much craziness in college football yesterday, man.
Yeah,
absolutely bad shit. Absolutely.
The one problem with Colorado that has been their problem outside their superstar players, it really is just an average group of players.
Yeah, that's kind.
That offensive line has been pieced together with duct tape.
I don't even know if they're average.
He hasn't gotten all the players that he needs to build that program yet.
Not yet.
I don't know if and I know he has them coming in tow, but losing
I don't think he's going to get them. I think he's going to get a better job before that comes.
That's what I was thinking too, but I'm like,
which sucks because I think if he stays there, I think he can make something very special at Colorado. I really do.
But I think he can do that wherever.
I'm not a fan of the brashness, but it seems to work. Like,
I mean,
him having the spotlight on him negates all the negative stuff from the kids.
I would rather it be on this guy than the guy who's the head coach at Louisville. What's his name?
It's eluding me as well.
Is it Petrino? Bobby Petrino?
Bobby Petrino, no. Petrino.
But no. Isn't that the motorcycle guy?
Yeah, Petrino.
Yeah, that's the guy that. That's the guy.
Bobby Petrino is the offensive coordinator at Arkansas. Bobby Petrino's back at Arkansas. He's just not the head coach.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, if that guy still has a job, you know, for all the insane stuff that he's done, some of these other coaches.
Are you thinking Rick Pitino?
No. I wasn't thinking.
He was a shithead too.
Yeah. I mean, but that's where I'm saying it's like, okay, look, for as brash as Dion may be, he hasn't stepped out like a lot of these other coaches have. So I'm just all like, I'll deal with the brashness. Not a big deal, especially when other guys like this have D1 jobs and pockets full of money.
No, I'm with you. You're preaching to the choir, amigo. All right, what we got here? We got about 30 minutes. We'd be remiss if we didn't get into some NFL. We got to talk about that.
Why? Both our teams suck.
College
do I even want to watch that? Are you even watching that Thanksgiving game?
No.
You're like, no?
Playing video games. Are you kidding me? Yes, I'm watching that game. I'm going to have money on it. That's
You're running with Tommy DeVito, baby. Huh? DeVito?
The future.
That's your future right now. Hey, at least you're playing your future.
Where does Daniel Jones end up in a couple of weeks?
San Francisco.
You know what? I didn't even, that wasn't even on my radar.
I mean, they could use him this week, so it's like, why not? I know they got Dobbs as the third string, and I like Dobbs, especially from what he showed last year.
I've seen a link to.
What's up, Grant?
What's up, Grant? How you doing, bud? I've seen a link to Daniel Jones going to the Ravens.
Not also a bad idea, considering that I feel like his physical attributes would do well with the way that the team is shaped.
It's in play style with the Ravens offense. Buffalo.
Yeah, he would probably find.
We talked about the Josh Allen beta. It might come to fruition. He might be backing up Josh Allen, dude.
Let me ask you this. So is it just that the Giants are so bad that like they brought a good quarterback down, or is it just that he's just like only so decent?
The Giants are such a poorly ran organization that they can't do they don't do the little things right. And I've always said this: if you don't do the little things right, you'll never get the big things right. It kind of all falls hand in hand, and you can't run the ball, you can't block well. You struggle. Your only saving grace has been your defense, and that's starting to decay.
I think it was Ed Werder who put it out on X this week, but it's like, okay, so the Giants took Saquon Barkley's money and spent it on Daniel Jones, and then both of them ended up walking away from this team. So, and now they're stuck with what, a $20 million cap hit for next season?
20, so it'll be $22 million dead money. But are you're much more willing to pay the $22 million than go with 45 to give 45 to Daniel Jones next year, and then I think it might be 50 the year afterwards of what is still left on the table for Daniel Jones and owed money.
Yeah,
I would if this is be that
it had to be done.
You know, as shitty as we've been deeming the Giants front office, this is the best move for the Giants.
Yeah, man.
It is financially the best move.
It was like
saves them $1 million.
Yeah, I hate spending $1 million. I hate spending money in order to try to make things better when you're taking a loss. It's kind of like when I bought this coffee table earlier. I saved $20 on it, and I was like, it's just not the right fit. Let me ship it back. I didn't have free shipping to return it, so I had to spend $20 to return it. So I was just like, at that point, I was really on the fence. But I was like, you know what? It was addition by subtraction, even though I had to lose out on the extra 20.
I don't agree with that.
That's where I'm seeing this,
I don't agree with this as addition by subtraction. I look at this as subtraction,
subtraction.
But I mean, but at least you guys are already in there for the total rebuild at this point, and that's what the Cowboys needed to have done. Instead, they paid Dak a lot of money after where it's proven like, hey, he's going to suffer some injuries. Micah Parsons is probably going to walk away from this team after his contract is up if he really wants to, because he's a talented player. We got all the wrong guys aging out at this point. Our window was last season. We re-signed Zeke when we could have had a guy that wanted to play in Derrick Henry there. But there's so many other, I mean, Overshown looks all right. He looks promising, but it's just like, man, there's so many issues with my team. It's just like, I wish that we were at that point where it's just like, all right, we're just going to blow it up and we're going to try again. But we're not, and we're never going to be that way.
No, and you know what, though? Like, your team's performing on the same type of level that the Giants are performing, and it's just absolutely.
And they shouldn't be, unfortunately.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. They have on paper have the roster, the personnel to be a championship caliber team. So here's the thing, right? And this is like a chain of events that trickles all the way back to when Daniel Jones was drafted for me, right? And and mainly for, I would be presumptuous, but
Grant's over here saying you guys might get Cam Ward.
I don't think so.
I mean, you need a quarterback now.
Need an offensive line before anything else. I would go, and which brings me to my point. This takes it all back. It all stems back to the year that Daniel Jones was drafted. Do you recall what draft pick he was?
Shoot, he was like, well, no. I just know he was one of the top quarterbacks taken, and I'm just like, oh, they reached for him when they could have had other options.
They absolutely reached for him. They had 2 picks in the first round.
Yeah.
He was 6th overall.
Okay, he was 6. Yeah, definitely not a 6 overall guy.
I believe. Now, I could have this wrong, but I'm pretty sure that he was 6th overall. And then the Giants also had the 17th pick or the 16th pick, somewhere around there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Jones still would have been there at 17 or 16, wherever. All right, yeah. He would have been there in round 3. Okay,
round 3, yeah, he would have.
Joshua Allen was an edge rusher from the University of Kentucky that year. The Giants could have taken Joshua Allen that year. Haskins was the only other quarterback that was being flirted with, and that was by Washington. So you knew that was a joke, right? You knew that Haskins wasn't going to amount to anything in Washington. Now, put him in another scenario, he might have been able to blossom. But going to Washington at that time with Snyder's campaign and Snyder's crew, it wasn't going to be that great of a run. You had Daniel Jones still there at the taking in the first round. You could have picked him with your second pick. All right. Now, what this does, it creates a chain reaction the next year and the following years.
Well, yeah.
Now you have to address and go get pieces instead of forming up and getting him protection. You elect and take awful picks with wide receivers instead of going out and then you had to address. You went out and you addressed your defense when you could have addressed your defense the year before with Joshua Allen, right? You then had to take another pick and put that on your defense instead of addressing your offensive line, which you could have got Penei Sewell, or you could have also gotten a Tristan Wirfs.
Yeah,
seriously, you were in line to get both of those linemen, which are 2 of the top linemen in the NFL right now. National pundits would not be having this discussion if the Giants could block. They would not be having the discussion if Saquon Barkley was on the Philadelphia Eagles, because I highly believe that contracts would have been situated to where Saquon was able to run behind these 2 superior offensive linemen.
I mean, that would have been nice.
Young offensive line.
And then at that point, you wouldn't need Saquon because you're hoping that your offensive linemen are so dominant at that young age that you could just plug in any back that would be decent, that would be able to at least attribute about 75% of the same output that Saquon would for, a minuscule price, which I foresee would have happened if that was the case. Because, I mean, coming from the Dallas Cowboys perspective, it's like they have had a lot of success drafting offensive linemen. And so I've seen what a good offensive line can do with mediocre players around you. But it's just like they're just old and beat up this year for the Cowboys stand. So I'm just kind of like, yeah. See, at least you guys are now forced to look this in the face and rebuild. I don't ever see the Dallas
Well, they
Cowboys
get the
doing
rebuild
that.
right because they had a chance to rebuild full circle. They had a
Well-
chance to rebuild with 2 first-round picks in the draft, and they took Daniel F. Jones.
Yeah, you guys do not draft well either.
We don't.
So it's
don't.
like I get it. I get that
Since
point
Ernie
too.
Accorsi been out of since Ernie Accorsi has not been the general manager, the Giants have not drafted well.
Yeah,
Jerry
man.
Reese. Now hold on. Let me look. Jerry Reese did an okay job, but it just has it hasn't gone well.
I'm with the DJ Dog over here. Like, yeah, Giants GM at that time was really suspicious. So, I mean, granted, though, it's like I'm looking through the 2019 draft here.
That was
It's
Jerry
like
Reese. That was Jerry. I think
that was
Jerry
Reese.
Reese is the one that pulled the trigger on Daniel Jones.
'Cause
Or
here in 2019
no. That was Gettleman. It might have been Gettleman.
Well, all I know is that, like, okay, there was no way that Arizona was going to give up the number 1 pick, which ended up being Kyle Murray or Kyler. Yeah, when it ended up being Murray, right? And then it's like, okay, so the next quarterback that was taken was Dwayne Haskins. Would he have been a better option than Daniel Jones,
No.
though? Because, and then it's like after that, it would have been
Haskins looked like he was the better quarterback coming out of Ohio State, but honestly, like I thought Daniel Jones was a better quarterback than Dwayne Haskins.
because then it would have been like Drew Lock, who was drafted in the second round.
Drew Lock is coincidentally, Drew Lock's on the Giants now.
Is he really? And then it would have been
he was the backup. He was brought in this season to back up Daniel Jones, and guess who's starting?
Oh, Will Lock. Okay, I guess you guys could have taken him instead.
No, Lock's not.
Oh, he's the number 3.
He's
DeVito. That's right.
Tommy
DeVito's
DeVito.
driving.
He's
That's right. He's backing up DeVito.
That's how bad Lock is. He's backing up Tommy DeVito, baby.
Man, you're right though. That was a reach because it's just like, man, the quarterback class really did not pan out during that draft because like Will Grier taken in the 3rd round.
Will Greer from
There you go, Greer.
Will Greer from West Virginia.
You have Ryan Finley from NC State was taken in the 4th round.
It has not been good quarterback play.
Yeah, so I was like,
really
maybe you are right. It probably had to attribute to the way that the Giants were trying to build around Daniel Jones as opposed to like his intangibles. But
you missed. That's
yeah.
There's just no way around it. You missed. All right. You thought that you had good quarterbacks and good skill position players there in the draft when you didn't. You had stalwarts. You had hog mollies. You should have been building your pieces with your rooks and your knights instead of your bishops and your queens and shit.
It's like when the Cowboys could have taken one of the
Why
Watt
am I making
brothers.
a chess analogy and chess reference to football?
Because that's what this game is at the end of the day. It is a thinking man's game. It's a thinking man's game with like burst of aggravated assault, like right in the middle of these 5 seconds per
murderous
play.
intent is my father used to say. Murderous intent.
Well, you do have to play with reckless abandon, but within the whistle.
That too. You say reckless abandon. You need to go out there. Your body needs to be a reckless abandon, man.
I mean, man, sometimes I'm just kind of crazy. It's like, when I'm like, oh, football is still a violent sport. But then I go back and see when we were playing and stuff like that. And I'm just like, man, it was a really violent sport.
Near what it was like, dude.
Yeah. I was just like, no wonder they were scared. I was like, yeah, some of that stuff that was going down looks really, really terrible.
Let's get to the end. We got 15 minutes left.
Does this even matter, man? I'm just like I'm
don't
like with some of these
to,
dudes where
we don't have to end the show, but I mean, I kind of want to watch football.
No, I get that too, but I'm just like, man, it's been an atrocious NFL season for me personally. It's like no team.
It's been a bad NFL season, and it's been a bad fantasy.
Yeah, see, DJ Dog understands Taco Charlton instead of TJ Watt. We could have had TJ Watt.
Yeah, dude, that's
I remember that one.
Man.
Still,
that's a miss.
Still sits on the burner. Okay,
that's
so
a bad one. That's a bad one. That one's gonna sit. That one's gonna sit for decades, dude.
So besides Kansas City, I mean, who realistically has a shot at winning this thing? Maybe Detroit.
That's what I was gonna ask you. Has Detroit done enough to convince you that they can get past the magic miracle man of Patrick Mahomes?
I got questions about the defense still in big time situations because they've floundered already this season.
You have the same questions about Kansas City's defense, though?
Yes, I do. So I have those questions about both teams. But I'm just like, I feel, though, that Detroit offensively is better than Kansas City because they got the lightning and the thunder style running back combo. They got playmakers at wide receiver. Everybody seems to be healthy. That's going to make
Golf,
it.
hey man, don't strike me with lightning, but golf's playing better than Mahomes.
Dude, he's having an MVP season. As much as people might not want to talk about it, he could legitimately be the MVP if we're just going based on statistics and based off of wins and losses and utilizing the team that you have. All right, DJ Dog. Okay, so I'm not just drinking the Kool-Aid by myself here. We're not all smoking the same thing. We're all just in agreement, though, that it's like, hey, this is a possibility.
They're putting up 50 points week in and week out. Like, and I've always said this. Doesn't matter the opposition when you're putting up points like that. When you're scoring at that out type of output, that's efficient football. Like,
okay, I'm with you there. I was looking at the chat. Rhett, he was saying he's taking Lamar Jackson probably for MVP. And you think about a team like the Ravens,
I think Lamar Jackson or Josh
he should be
Allen,
MVP. He should
right?
be MVP.
Like Lamar Jackson, I think he only has 2 interceptions all year long, maybe 3.
I mean, somebody finally tailored. I mean, it's been like this for a few seasons, but this is what I think taken so long to have a running style quarterback be great in the NFL is coaches finally realizing, hey, we can tailor our stuff to fit our personnel.
I don't think that you can call him a running. I mean, sure, he runs the ball, but I mean, he's not a running. He's a quarterback.
No, he's a quarterback, but I'm saying that you can actually have like a low key option based quarterback play in the NFL and have it work when you have a talent like him. And I felt that there have been other talents. Like, can you imagine if Randall Cunningham was in his prime and running this offense? That's all I'm trying to say.
That's not,
or Michael Vick, if they were in their prime.
That's the nightmare that I was thinking of.
Even a guy like Steve Young, if he was put in that style offense, a mobile quarterback that can run and throw, it's just that coaching is a very conservative job. You know, it takes a lot to change these people's minds. That's why I was always surprised growing up where, like, you know, somebody had like a novel idea that they were seen as a revolutionary. I'm just like, no, they just broke away from the stodginess of what is a very conservative coaching.
Like Burrow's having a great year too, but his team's just not like, I can't give the MVP to a player that doesn't have their team in the position.
Also been hurt this season too. You know, he hasn't. I don't think he's been in as many games as Goff or as Lamar Jackson.
No, I mean, he's got 11 games played, so
yeah, it's only 11. I mean, everybody else has played pretty much the full season.
He's got more. He's got 11 games playing. He's got almost 70 more attempts than, or 70 more.
Yeah, but I mean, it's
rather
easily though Goff over him though, easily right now. If we're even talking about Joey Burrow.
Yeah, but I mean, like Burrow right now leads in passing, but I can't award the MVP to Burrow based off of his stats and then have that counter to where his team is at. You know what I mean? Like, that's hard for me to give that.
I get it. I know some people go by that. I mean, I try to, and I'm sure I do it too. I try to go by individual.
At quarterback, you have absolutely everything at your, besides the defense, but you're basically, it's all on you to get your team to success, right?
It can be, but sometimes you have the situation that Patrick Mahomes is having where it's like, hey, I got wide receivers that drop wide open passes, you know, and it's just like, okay, that's not on a quarterback.
That's true. But
I've seen that happen. I've even seen that happen to Daniel Jones sometimes, you know?
I've seen that happen to Eli. Eli would have a lot better numbers if his receivers wouldn't have tipped those interceptions.
Yeah, man, all you can do is get it there.
Receivers tipped the interceptions, not the defensive backs.
Exactly.
So if the receiver if the ball hits the receiver's hands, I am in agreement with you. It should be called.
Yeah, and it's just like, you know, those interceptions count against a quarterback. They don't count against the right receiver when they're the ones that have that happen. And that's because I'm an offensive guy. But I'm with you. Wide receiver.
I'm a defensive guy.
I know you are. That's why I'm saying this as an offensive.
That's why this is a good marriage, amigo. That's why this is a good marriage.
That's why I was like, yeah, man, I'm with you on that. Like, if you are an NFL athlete and you get your hand on the ball as a wide receiver and it's a catchable pass, you got to come down with it. Buffalo. I mean, them getting Von Miller was big. If he can,
that was a good player for Buffalo. I mean,
and the guy that got from the Browns.
I was actually kind of worried, like, where their success was going to come from with the air, being that Diggs kind of left.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think Shakir was going to be able to step into the role that he was this year. I didn't think that Keon Coleman would be able to step up in his rookie season.
Yeah, he's been good.
Dude, they've been quietly good on offense, right? It hasn't just been the whole Josh Allen show. It's been led by Josh Allen, but I mean, you know, dude, you really want to look at it, man, they've had decent success with the ground and pound too.
Yeah, and DJ Dog makes a good point. Amari Cooper now, so he has some targets because Cooper was still playing well for a Browns team that was, awful. And
that couldn't figure it out. I mean,
hey, Jameis is taking them places, baby.
They won with Jameis. You know what I mean? That's where we're at. That's where we're at.
That was the best win I've seen all season for an NFL team, though, so I can't hate. Hey, at least they have more to cheer about than the Dallas Cowboys or the Giants have this year.
That's you know what I mean?
Which is sad.
They can begin to heal. They can begin.
Yeah, see, and this is
the Giants are moving on.
Yeah, see, you guys moved on. See, as a Cowboys fan, I got Trey Lance sitting on the bench still, and it's like we're never going to see him play.
Well, hold on now.
Why did we even do this?
We kind of flirted with this, right? Like, there's a chance that Daniel Jones could be on the Cowboys, but the Cowboys would have to drop a quarterback. Or
I don't want to see this.
They have to release one or trade one. They can't trade it.
They can't, but I don't want to see this, man. I was like, I don't need Daniel Jones, and they just signed Dak to all that money. You gotta let him come back. But I mean, that offensive line, Zach Martin's probably going to retire, one of the best linemen going, so that's going to suck. Yeah, they should be in rebuild mode, but we've been in like purgatory mode for the last 30 years. So I don't know what to say. And that doesn't look like it's going to change.
You're going to stay in purgatory mode until the owner gets out of there, bud.
Yeah, we don't even put up shade during the afternoon games for this team, man. So it's just like, I don't know what to expect anymore.
All right, real quick, let's take a tour around the NFL landscape. We got about 5 minutes or so to give our scores and predictions before we get out of here. Vikings, Bears. Minnesota is favored by 3 over under 39 in the hook.
Give me the Bears. They're wearing the throwback unis today.
In Chicago.
They're wearing the throwback unis too, so I would take the Bears instead.
All right, taking Bears. I'm going to take Mono Man in the Vikings here. Vikings are 4-1 on the road. I like that. Although the Bears are 4-2 at home here, but the Bears just find them. I feel like the Bears find ways to lose.
Yeah, but I also feel that Minnesota is one of those teams when they should be rounding out into final form, they find ways to lose too. So I'm just kind of like, that's why I'm like, oh, Bears, throwback unis at home. I think today's their day.
Possible. I think
I just hope
takes care of business.
I mean,
man, I think they're good for like the board has them for 3. I think they're good for 10.
I don't know if they're going to be that good. Maybe 5, but 10. That's unless you're teasing up. That's asking a little bit.
50 degrees. It's a good day in Chicago. Maybe a little breezy. We know it's always windy in that city.
Just a little, right?
Just a little, right? I'm gonna go with Mono Man and Company. They cover good. They're good. They're at least good for 3. I think they're good for 10.
You got 5 minutes. What's
Lions and Colts. We talked about the Bears, now the Lions. Lions and Colts. Lions only favored by 7 on the road going into Indianapolis here.
Understandable. Indiana wearing the Indiana Knights uniforms tonight, so they'll be breaking out the black helmets. So that also changes things.
You are all about the uniforms, my dude. Way too much. We got cool.
You know this already.
With the uniforms here.
You've known this about me my whole life. I'm a fan of the athletic aesthetics.
What are you wearing today? You got Luka on?
Yeah, I got like the retro throwback on. Even though he's been out, the Mavs have been rolling, so it looks like a good team. But in this case, NFL wise, yeah, I would still go with
Clay
the Lions.
from the Bay, baby. Clay from the Bay.
Oh man, even when he didn't hit any shots the other night, and they still were able to go beat OKC, I was impressed. And that was without Luka.
He's got to be. He's an assassin. He's got to be covered even when he's not hitting, man.
He does. That does help a lot, though.
He's a threat.
Yeah, because it opens up one-on-ones.
Shooter's going to shoot. It absolutely does. We talked about that last week too. How it's going to open up one-on-ones in better situations for Kyrie and Luka.
It just comes down to shot selection for Luka at the end of games. If he can change that, I feel much better. But going back to this NFL thing, yeah, Lions. I mean, who's playing quarterback this week for Indianapolis? Is it Flacco?
That's a good question. I don't think
it is, right?
Richardson was reinstated.
That's what I think too. So I'm just like, when you're kind of in flex and quarterback play, I just think that's an opening for the other team to really dominate.
Patriots and Dolphins. Do the Fish get it right and swim away with the victory here? They're favored by 7.
Yeah, and they're also at home against the struggling New England
45.5 is the over-under here.
Ooh, I take the under on the total, but I definitely see the spread going Miami's way.
Okay.
Easily.
All right. Smash.
They're wearing all white at home, by the way, just in case anybody was wondering.
What color's their underwear?
I don't know about that. I'm just saying from the helmet, shell, pants combination, they're going all white. That's all I remember seeing.
You're a mess.
Well, they don't wear the
and
teal.
Buccaneers, and they might be Giants. Giants winless at home. Does that trend change today with the Buccaneers?
You got Tommy DeVito, baby.
Tommy DeVito, baby. Mwah.
And the
Bada
best
bang.
and the best Italian American sports agent known to mankind right now, who's in the Italian American Hall of Fame. So no, unfortunately, Baker is still doing Baker things.
Are you making this shit up?
No, I'm not making that up. You can look it up right now, man. His agent is in the Italian American Hall of Fame.
How do you even know that
It exists?
resides?
Because there's other real prominent people that are actually in the Italian American Hall of Fame, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But yes, the agent did get the invite. And Tommy DeVito, remember when he had the pizza signings for a little while, making that side money, that NIL money. But no, the Buccaneers are going to win. They're wearing the Peter pants today. So that's legit, man. You're going to watch all these games. I'm going to hit on all of this. If it was about uniform combinations, I'd be making money hand over fist, bro.
Cowboys and Commanders. Dallas comes to Washington here. Washington favored by 11. 44 and a hook is the over-under here.
I want to say we play close because it's the NFC East game. It's a rivalry game, but I don't see that happening, especially if Washington decides to wear the gold pants at home like they're slated to do. That's like one of their best looks. I mean, Cooper Rush,
Dallas,
is that really?
Dallas coming out in that 95 throwback Apex uniform?
I wish, man, they would. They don't even wear that one. They wear a variation of it, but no, I mean, uniform-wise, it should be a good-looking game regardless, but I think the Commanders are safe, especially with the spread, especially, what's the over-under on this game?
45 and a half.
I mean, they could put 35 and we can score 7. Well, we're going to score all field goals, so it might be like 35-9, so yeah, why not, right? Hey, we got generational kicker. Brandon Aubrey's legit.
That's all you got.
That's what's sad. I got to celebrate the kicker.
That's all you got right now, amigo.
What else you got here?
Chiefs and Panthers. Andy Reid and company go into Carolina. The line right now is 10 and a hook. The over-under is 43 and a hook as well. Panthers have a chance.
They're breaking out new uniforms, Wags. They're wearing a color combination that they have never worn before. They're breaking out the black helmet from what I heard.
How in the hell do I mute you?
No, I wish I was lying.
There you go. Smash is. We are muting Smash for the next 10 seconds with the damn uniform talk.
No, I didn't realize you had that. I didn't realize you had that PTI or the around the horn capability.
Yeah,
that's actually pretty cool.
The tuning reality. We have the tuning reality effect.
But yeah, I mean, Kansas City is going to roll just because the defense is so bad for Carolina. Even with and I think Thielen's going to be back in the lineup fantasy wise if you're curious. But other than that, new uniforms is all I can tell you about Carolina. New uniform combination. That's basically all you got. So black helmets, maybe with black pants, blue socks. We'll see.
All right, Titans
Maybe.
and Texans. Tank Dell. Anybody that's got Tank Dell, I expect a big day from Tank Dell and company.
Need it.
Against the Titans here. Also, Calvin Ridley owners. Calvin Ridley, you should. People that own Calvin Ridley in fantasy football, you should have a decent day from him. Expect around 14 to 20 on the day. The Texans don't really have that great of a or statistically don't have that great of a defense in fantasy in terms of wide receivers. So it should be a good day for Calvin Ridley and company, even though he has Will Levis and Mayo, man, throw into him. So
I know, baby Daniel Jones. Is Will Levis.
Oh yeah,
right?
Texans will win the game for sure, but
easily
in terms of for your fantasy output, expect Ridley to have a decent performance there. Cardinals, we missed one. Broncos and Raiders here to start the afternoon slate, the later slate here in Vegas. What'd you like? Denver on the road favored 5 and a hook.
That makes sense, and understandably why. They just have the game between two mediocre teams, but they had the better quarterback play going on. I think right now the Raiders might be rolling with Gardner Minshew. Not saying that he's awful, but it's just like it looks like the Broncos are better built right now for the near future as opposed to the Raiders, who were the hot team ending the season last season. That just shows you how much 1 year can make a difference.
Niners and Packers, no Brock Purdy, but Debo is expected to get a lot.
Yeah, but no Joey Bosa either.
Yeah. What do you think about the Packers' chances to kind of shock and keep San Francisco right where they're at in terms of that NFC West, and not allow them to kind of get up to the kind of surface here.
You can't call me crazy, right? But I mean, real possibility here, especially with the way that things are falling. Like, the Niners have not been healthy this year on the offensive side of the ball. I know that they got some key players back, but without their quarterback, this is a team that has faltered in the past without Purdy. I can see that happening now. And of course, no Joey Bosa. I mean, come on, that's just like a field day. Because other than that, oh, and no Trent Williams either. I think he's going to be out too.
No Williams on the offensive line either.
Yeah, man. So I'm just like, I'm
favored by 6.
Yeah, and I was like, 6 might be a little bit much. I would be way more comfortable at like a 3.5, 4. But I do see the Packers being the winner of this game. But I don't think that 6-point spread. I think that might be too much.
Okay.
I have to see the weather around. They're playing San Francisco, right?
44 degrees clear weather.
San Fran,
I think Packers are good for the 6.
Ooh, okay. I don't feel that confident about them. I think they can win, but again, but see, I'm not that confident as you are in Debo or McCaffrey right now, for that matter. But those are the guys that are going to have to step up if they're going to win this game, right? So I'm just like, well, maybe Debo does have a throwback game. I don't know. Now I'm a little indecisive, but the Packers do win the game.
Put you on the ledge. 3 more real quick before we get out of here. We have Cardinals and Seahawks battling for that NFC West division here, right? To see who's going to kind of stay afloat. We just talked about the 49ers kind of struggling at 5-5 there. Can they survive and get past the Packers? Well, on the other side of that, you got the Cardinals and Seattle that are kind of around the same type of record. 5-5 for the Seattle Seahawks, and then 6-4 for the Cardinals. Cardinals visit Seattle, going up to that Pacific Northwest region there. Cardinals are favored by 1, basically a pick'em game here.
I get that too, but I think I would go with the team that has the better health, and that would be the Seahawks, in the sense where they had the bye week last week. They're playing at home. I know you're going to kill me for saying this, but it does worth mentioning. They are wearing the navy tops with the gray pants. This is not a combination that they break out that often, Wags. And they have had good success.
This is a unique combination.
There's a reason why. Were you never one of those guys that wears like a certain amount of clothing, like a certain way or a certain color combination, if it's worked in the past? You never have one of those things. No lucky underwear, no lucky sweatband, nothing.
I don't have none of that.
Okay.
You and my partner in crime, Rodney Rodriguez. You guys are really big on this emotion and the clothes and all the spirituality of the game.
I'm all about anything that's going to give you a mental edge.
Maybe that too.
Yeah, and I mean, the Cardinals are going to be wearing their icy whites. That's one of the better looks in the NFL. But I mean, I've really enjoyed seeing this Cardinals team kind of have a renaissance midseason. Now that they're all healthy, they got a hell of a field goal kicker, that's for sure, who can nail it from like 50
They got a good
yards.
offense. McBride from the tight end position, he can get absolutely nasty.
Hey, and that defense ain't bad either.
He's a mismatch, right? He's a mismatch that's going to happen. And then you already know about Marvin Harrison Jr., all right? And
dude, the kid's legit.
You have you got Hollywood Brown now too. I mean,
they got weapons.
You have weapons.
They got weapons, and they got
Kyler Murray.
Yeah, and you got a quarterback that can produce.
James Conner's a solid running back, right?
Exactly. You got exactly what you need to be successful with a good defense that can shut down good teams. But I'm just thinking on the other end, though, it's like Geno Smith has been playing out of his mind this season. I was like, I think Geno will roll, especially at home.
Geno has surprised. I didn't think that Geno would be able to keep up.
Nobody thought he'd be this good. Nobody, but he's been really solid this year. In fact, he's been a better fantasy league quarterback than
he has.
Yeah,
he's had more point production,
more points. And what's his name from Houston? I can't think of his name.
Stroud, CJ Stroud.
Yeah. Because I thought that he was going to be the backup to Stroud for me, but it's like I've been having to play Geno Smith most games because he's outscored him.
Sam Darnold has been
another guy.
My gem that. I got Sam Darnold in round 11, and I've just absolutely I was able to build so much success and so much depth in my running back and wide receiver position because I waited so long to take Sam Darnold.
No,
and guess who else was available? Matt Stafford.
Matt Stafford. Okay. I mean, granted, he's been hurt.
Guess who else was available in the 12th round?
Who else?
Jared Goff.
Dang, that would have been one hell of a take. I mean, but nobody could have foresaw that, man. I wouldn't have foreseen that.
People took Aaron Rodgers in round 5.
Hey, I do appreciate the guys chiming in on the chat line. Clothes do make the man, as Shakespeare did say, Joe K.
Joe K.
And I know you can't get this uniform type of analysis anywhere. That's why you tune into the Wagner Wire.
That is the only reason why you come to the Wagner Wire for Smash's uniform analysis breakdown.
Yeah, it's like, who else is wearing what this week?
One more before we get out of here. Or did we talk Eagles Rams? We did not. We did not talk Eagles Rams. Eagles Rams. Eagles go out to the West Coast land there and take on McVay and crew. Eagles favored by 3. What do you think?
Are the Rams healthy? I haven't looked yet.
Rams are the healthiest they've been.
Jeez, I mean, that still doesn't bode well for a team that's right in the hunt of the NFC East.
I don't know Nakua's status here. Let me see if Nakua is actually going to play.
Because I'm just like, obviously the Eagles are in the hunt.
Nakua is going to play. Higbee's still out. Leviston is still out. Clear. I mean, he's out till December 1st.
I mean, which is just next week.
I think Havenstein's doubtful too. So
let's just go Eagles. -3 is a really good number. If anything, I thought that they could win it by more. I think they would be a -7.
I'm with you. All right, fly, Eagles, fly.
Hate them to fly, yeah.
They get it done here out west. And then the last game of the slate, it's the Battle of the Brothers. The Harbaugh Bowl.
Oh, yeah. Dum, dum.
Little brother versus big brother. No, we're not talking about your Thanksgiving forecast that's coming up with Texas.
I mean, it better be a Texas win, man.
We were talking about the Chargers and the Ravens. Baltimore goes into L.A. and, wondering which side mom and dad's going to vote for here. Baltimore favorite 2.5, over under 50.5. What do you like?
The under, and I would take the Ravens at that number easily.
Definitely take the under in this one, right? 50 is way too high for both of these.
I mean, I don't know who pointed it out on the chat line earlier, but I mean, Justin Hebert has been pretty good this year. And I mean, if McConkley was healthy.
I love that you say it's not Bobby Hebert anymore. It's Justin Herbert.
It's Herbert. That's right. I'm sorry. Well,
it's spelled the exact same. It is
spelled the same way. I was like, come on, man. Let's get consistent with the name pronunciations here. Herbert, Hebert. Hebert sounds a lot cooler, though.
Hebert does sound a lot cooler, but I swear to you, it's Justin Herbert.
Oh, I thought it was just because he got stuck playing in New Orleans. If he played in New Orleans, his last name be Hebert.
It's exactly the same, man. It's spelled exactly the same.
All right. Well, Justin Herbert's been pretty good this year, low key. I mean, not everybody's talking about them. It's just about them being healthy. I think McConkley has produced very well when he's been available, but this is really the Ravens' games to lose. You expect their defense to try to shut down this high-powered offense. They have had problems though in secondary.
Are the Chargers coming out in powder blues?
I actually do not know this one.
God, Smash! You had one job.
Well, it's because the Ravens have broken out like that weird combination where they wore the gold pants recently. So I'm just like, I don't know if they're going to do that again. But I mean, the Chargers should wear the powder blue, and I'll tell you why. Because they have been unable to win any games this season while they're wearing their navy blue tops. That I do know. So they should come out in the powder blue if they know what's good for them.
DJ says Harbaugh has a man crush on his QB. I'll tell you who Harbaugh has a crush on. It might not. It could be Justin Herbert, but I'll tell you who he absolutely has a crush on. It's J.K. Dobbins.
He
absolutely loves J.K. Dobbins.
The man from LaGrange. Got to see him play.
All right, we are 10 minutes past the hour. NFL has already kicked off. Smash, thank you so much for your conversation this Sunday, man.
Good seeing you, man.
I missed it, dude. Good seeing you.
I know.
Hey, you got to get over here and do this damn VR thing, all right?
Dude, I'm down. Maybe a little bit after this Thanksgiving thing all passes over, for sure.
Right on, man. And of course, if you ain't got anywhere to go on Thanksgiving, come on over here. We'll watch the game together.
Dude, I always appreciate it, man.
All right, brother. We're going to get out of here. Hey, man, make sure you guys tune in to us tomorrow on Texas Sports Unfiltered. BK and Bucky get us kicked off and started in the morning. And then my partner in crime is back. He's back from he had a little bit of a hiatus. No, he got in a little bit of trouble behind the wheel. He did. Smash.
Oh, did he? Oh, my God.
I bailed him out. Good.
He's That's why you
coming
need
back
friends.
from the airwaves. And I talked to the warden, got his ass out of jail, and I don't know if he's gonna have to go back, but
tell him he has to stop recreating
for at least a couple of days next week. So
dude, he needs to stop recreating Smokey and the Bandit.
That's it. Right. Talking about all those remakes, man.
For real.
Rodney Rodriguez is your next movie star. All right, we got to get out of here. Yeah, Chaos Theory back full force tomorrow, right after Bucky and BK. And you guys know the rest of the lineup. We got, it's only an hour after that, then False Start, and then Chip and Zay, and then the boys from SEC Unfiltered. So it's all deadly here on Texas Sports Unfiltered. Make sure you give us a follow on all of our socials. Until next time, you guys know the drill, man. We bid you all adieu, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great time, and thank you guys for tuning into our sorry asses on this wonderful day on your Sunday. And now it's time for college football. Y'all be good. Enjoy the rest of the day.